It is the end of a season for a lot of drivers who have worked their entire lives for this moment. And at the top of the pinnacle, only 2 drivers will have a shot at walking away with the championship belt in the honor of being the Vidane Racing Series Season 7 champion. You are watching the finale of the Season 7 of the Vidane Racing Series live on LSRTV. Joe Cortez, Tony Stevens leading this broadcast tonight. And Tony, get ready for a barn burner. 69 contentious hard laps around Talladega Superspeedway.
You're absolutely right, Joe. This is going to be one barn burner of a show. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Make sure the cows are pinned down, because them and the pigs and everything else might fly before this thing is over with. There's a full field of trucks, a very competitive field of trucks, and after last week's race at Daytona, we saw anything can and will happen. This race and this championship in particular will not be over until the checker flag flies. 69 laps at Talladega is a very, very long time, but there are 2 men who are very, very concerned about getting to lap 69.
Two men will enter with championship hopes. 2 men, only one can walk out with the championship belt as a result. Let's go ahead and start off the pre-race show in the Rental Race Car 183 live from Talladega Superspeedway. David Danboys, Dalton, England, live in the Hollywood Hotel. Gentlemen, take it away.
Hi there, thank you Joe and Tony. We are here and we're going to be taking you shortly under 30 minutes until the final green flag of this Vidane season. Ian Plash and Wesley Hogue entered tonight, both tied at 384 in the point column. Both have a chance to win this championship. Everyone else is mathematically ineligible. But Ian does have the tiebreaker before we even get any further. He has won 2 races compared to Ian Plash's 1. Dalton, tonight, Talladega, trucks. What do you think?
It's going to be a good race tonight on the 2.66 mile track. 4 turns at Talladega Superspeedway, very bumpy here in the trucks. 4 races ago we seen the trucks race, and they're back here for the finale at Talladega.
Absolutely, and we're going to head down on the track. We've got an interview with the driver of the number 66 truck tonight.
That is none other than Austin Atkinson. And Austin, this is a pretty big field, looks like, tonight. We see a lot of trucks out here getting a lot of time on each other's bumper. Is this going to be a race, you think, where the tandem is going to come into play, or is this going to be more of a traditional style plate race as we've seen in many, many years past?
I think this one early on, you're going to see a lot of these guys out here are going to find themselves putting themselves in some different positions. You know, I think for guys like Wesley Hogue or Ian Plash, those guys are going to play it more safe, I would imagine, towards the back of the pack. Don't want to get caught up in anything, but from personal experience, I've found myself, you know, obviously the first few races of the season I was able to claim as mine, at least the first 2, and I found staying at the front seemed to do pretty well for myself. So I think my strategy is get to the front and stay there. Some of these other guys, they might have differing opinions. I guess we'll just see how it plays out tonight. Is going to be interesting, though, for sure.
So in other words, according to Austin Atkinson, you don't want to be the meat in the sandwich. You'd rather be any one of the 2 heels of the loaf of bread on the front or in the back, because we've seen a lot of guys tearing some stuff up in practice. Is this a matter of everybody just simply pushing the limits in practice because it really doesn't matter, or is this going to be a race where we see a lot of mistakes that take out other drivers?
Well, I'm going to answer that one honestly and say I don't really know. This is my first race back. I ran the first 5 races and said the hell with it, let's come back and run the last one. And honestly, my goal tonight is to get a win for one reason and one reason only. That'll make me the only guy with 3 wins, and that's what I'm going for. So we'll see what happens with it. I think this is actually the only series that the only vehicle I don't have a win in is the truck. I think I had one in the A car and one in the B car. I don't think I've got one in the truck, so I'd like to get a win in all 3. Yeah, I know. Call it selfish, but that's my goal tonight.
How do you do that tonight?
Well, hopefully with the help of Mr. David Pollock. He's a guy that I've known for a while. I've worked with him before, and we work quite well together. And like I said earlier, I think it's just going to be positioning and being in the right place at the right time, and we've done it pretty well the races we have run here this season. during my off time, I have been running other leagues, other super speedways, and we've done pretty well there. So I guess, like I said, it's just going to come down to positioning and finding out what's going to happen.
Well, best of luck to you, Austin.
Thank you.
Austin Atkinson, he's in the number 66, guys. As he said, looking to become the only 3-time winner on the season here tonight at Talladega.
All right, thank you for that, Tony. And Dalton, I want to touch on something that he mentioned just a moment ago. He's got 2 wins this season, looking to make his 3rd win this season and become the only driver in Vidane this season to win 3 races. Are there a little bit, if I'm the number 38 at Wesley Hogue and the number 22 of Ian Plash, am I a little worried about that, about guys trying to go for the win when we're trying to points race here?
For Wes and Ian, it's they're gonna want to ride around it, like Austin said, want to ride around and be ready for the end. Until the checkered flag ends is when the race will end officially and the points battle. So definitely Ian and Wes are gonna have to wait till the end of the race.
All right, and we're gonna go ahead and throw it down. We got Joe with one of the main men here at Vidane.
Chris Sweat driving the 00 all throughout the season tonight. Chris, tonight's going to be a little bit special for you, being the end of Season 7. You've seen all 7 seasons come and go. Tonight, it's going to be kind of an end of an era for you guys.
It is definitely. I mean, I came in late to the whole Vidane thing. I've only kind of been around for the past couple of seasons, but it's a shame, really. It's been kind of a great place to run and race for a while, and seen some awesome racing, and failed to qualify for a bunch of races, but it's just it's a shame to see it end. I mean, all good things must come to an end, and this is a hell of a way to go out.
Tonight you're going to crown a champion, but before we get to that, let's talk about you and the 00 truck. I know you're excited to get back out there.
I definitely love the trucks. They're my favorite out of all the cars we run here, and kind of have a whole different strategy tonight. I kind of really don't care, obviously in my own point standings, because I feel like I'm pretty well locked in the 6th. So we're gonna try to go get the win. We tried last week, didn't get very far, so I'm gonna hope this time's a little better.
What's the strategy for you, the 00 machine? This is going to be a night where you don't want to leave anything on the track. What's going to be the strategy to get in victory lane tonight?
Well, I'm going to try to go to the front, but we'll see how it plays out. I know I suck at qualifying, so we'll probably start in the back like I've done all season, purposely, but we're going to try to get up there. I got my good friend Steve Lovender in the race with me. Same thing with Jim Gutta. We're going to try to work together, get away to the front there, and hopefully try to be there for the end.
Checkers or wreckers for the 00 truck of Chris Sweat. Chris, good luck to you down there, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's take it back to you guys in the hotel.
Chris Sweat, who is 6th in overall points, 9th in truck points, looking tonight to get his first top 5 of the season in the season finale. Now, he mentioned something about Steve Luvender and Jim Gutta. I know for a fact those 3 are teammates in other leagues, so that will be something to watch out for there, Dalton. And quickly, what is it going to take? These guys are going to need to probably work with some different people, but ultimately, I assume you're going to want to work with somebody that you're familiar with.
Ian was saying in the pits during pre-race that he's not going to want to work with Wes, because if he's behind Wes and Wes gets to the line in front of Ian, that means Wes will win the championship. Wes and Ian are definitely going to want to stay away from each other. And Ian said he's going to work with Devin Smarker to be found out. Wes does not have an official partner yet.
Real quick before we head over to Ryan Hunty, Wes Hogue, before we hit the air, was about 20th in practice, and right now he has got the top time in practice. Ian Plash is 10th. Let's throw it down to the track.
This guy's caught up with Ryan Hunty in the number 48 machine. Ryan, you're the top guy coming into tonight that doesn't have anything to race for other than pride. Does that change the way you approach the race tonight?
No, we're still going to go out there and do our best. A win would be nice. You know, we haven't gotten a win this whole season. Got one race left to do it, so just trying to get a W up there.
Of course, now the championship is, well, it's not a foregone conclusion, but as far as you're concerned, you're as high up as you can get. Do you take more chances now trying to get a win when you don't have the points to worry about?
Yeah, we're not really worrying about points, so if there's, a questionable gap, I most likely will go for it. I'm not going to worry about the car too much. We have nothing to lose, everything to gain as far as getting that win, because the whole team wants to get a W on the board. So that's what we're going to be working for tonight, and we'll see what happens.
Obviously, we've documented this is the last Vidane race, at least anytime in the foreseeable future. So what would it mean to you if you were able to be the guy that ends up at the top of the heap tonight?
It would mean a lot, because especially I've heard a lot about, the Vidane Racing Series, what they've done back in our 2003 and whatnot, and it'd be special if this was the last race and we did get the W.
Now, for you and the 48 bunch, what is it going to take? How do you get the W tonight?
Well, usually me and Bolton, we apply the same strategy that we did in the beginning of the season, but the last half of the season just did not go the way we wanted it to go. So, I'm thinking we're going to start out in the back again like I usually do, but we're going to try to mix it up in the front. I think we're just trying to get the front and stay in the front.
Well, he says he wants to be at the top of the pile all night long, guys. That's the 48 of Ryan Hunty. Look for him to be a threat all 69 laps of this one.
Ryan Hunty, third in points, 4 top 5s. Will it translate into a victory tonight? We will yet to see 69 laps from now when we get going. Dalton, it is still, and I want to touch on that, the last race in Vidane for the foreseeable future. And you gotta wonder, Dalton, if this will be one of the most prestigious unofficial iRacing races that you could see. The last race in Vidane, possibly forever.
Yeah, that's true. There's 40 cars in the pits for tonight. 42 are allowed to race. 40 are already in the pits for the finale here at Vidane. It's a great turnout for the finale.
Absolutely, it is really, really packed down there. Real quick, your top 5 in practice. And again, practice speeds don't really apply too much. You'll see right now, Wes Hogue, Brendan Odo, but if you look at their times, they're over half a second quicker than the rest of the field. E.J. O'Rourke, 3rd, Timothy Silliman, 4th, and Jack Bruker in 5th. Real quick, going to see if we can get another interview queued up, but there's also a truck point standing going on right now. And that one is actually getting interesting. We just talked to Ryan Hunty. He leads that by 11 over Wes Hogue. So Wes Hogue could leave without the overall championship, but could win the truck championship. Let's throw it down to the track where they've caught up with the driver in the number 40.
Hey.
That's right. I've caught up with Doug DeNice, 4th in points. And or not Evan. There's no to get Evan, but he's off running somewhere else. Doug, tonight's race, very important, very special to you. 11 starts this season, and 4 top 10s. I know you want to finish the season big, and tonight's your opportunity here at Daytona.
Yeah, I just want to come off the season with a bang. I mean, Vidane's not going to, according to, I think Paul or somebody told me, they're not going to be running another season after this. I was looking forward to racing this again.
Certainly a hard way to go out. Does that change your strategy at all at this point as a result of that? Are you just going to go out there and have fun tonight, or how does that affect your strategy at all?
Honestly, I'm going to try and finish 3rd in overall points over Ryan Hunt just to get 3rd because I want to, and it's a 5-point deficit. So
what's the game plan? What's the game plan for you and the 40 team coming out here for 69 laps at Talladega tonight?
I'm going to just try and play conservative the first half, and then I'm going to go all for it. In the second half, oh boy.
Doug DeNice currently sitting 4th in points. Doug, where are we going to see you run the rest of the 2014 season?
Oh, if you ever see me, I'll probably be in an IndyCar running IndyCar.
So this is kind of an end of an era for you as well tonight.
Can be.
Doug DeNice, we're currently in the number 40 machine. We will watch him race with the rest of them for 69 laps here at Talladega in just a 15 minutes time. Doug, good talking to you. We'll see you on the track.
All right, 10-4.
Let's send it back up to the booth with David and Dalton.
All right, and thank you for that, Joe, as DeNice, 4 top 10s on the season. Just a case, Dalton, where it seems like he just avoided the big wrecks, just kept himself straight, and made sure that he got to the finish.
Yeah, DeNice was walking around the pitch earlier today saying if it wasn't for Super Speedways, he'd still be in the top 10, but the Super Speedways has helped him out this season. As you said, in the 4th position, very good run for Doug DeNice.
Dalton, I just want to point out that every race is a super speedway race. Just want to point that out, just in case you didn't realize it. Anyways, we got a lot of exciting stuff going on. Let's throw it down to Tony. He's caught up with Justin Bolton.
Have caught up with the Lee Falk Racing Development driver in the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series. But, Justin, before you climb into that late model stock car this season, you've got some unfinished business here on the virtual super speedway at Talladega, and it looks like that 18 truck has been pretty sporty tonight. Is it that way from behind the wheel?
Yes. It's a little tight, getting the aero push going into these corners. Have to really work on my braking zone here, but in all seriousness, we're just going to go out here and try to work with the 48 and see what we can do. Our plan at the beginning of the season was to run a lot of these races and see where we ended up in points, but ended up getting wrecked out in 2 of them, and Ryan wasn't able to get in one of those, so we were both out of the points at that point, so now we're just going for wins. But hopefully we can get it done tonight, and it should be a lot of fun.
One of the things that's always talked about in iRacing and all of these different broadcasts, of course, is the correlation to a real race car. You've been behind the wheel of a real race car, be it a Legends car, be it a late model, whatever the case might be, and we know how the things translate as far as the realism goes, but as far as mentally keeping yourself sharp, what works better? A race like this, short track race, anything? Is there any preference as to what helps keep your mind spinning to stay fresh for the race season?
I mean, really anything just helps out. Even go-karts at GoPro Motorplex, as you know, helps out, keeps your mind in a racing mood. But just races like this where it's, you know, a little bit longer, not too long, so you still got that kind of anticipation to try and get to the front and really want to get there as fast as you can, but you still got to save your stuff for the end. So, you know, just racing anything I can between leagues like Vidane and the NASCAR iRacing.com series coming up, and as well as the Driver World Championship that we're going to have to qualify into the races for this year. And, you know, it just all helps with preparing me for these 100 lappers at Hickory with Lee Falk Racing for this whole season. We got 10 races and the Fall Brawl coming up at the end of the year, so it should be a good year.
Sounds like it certainly will be. So let's focus on tonight's race here at Talladega. You mentioned earlier you're out here for wins. There's a lot of ways you can win a race at Talladega. What are you hedging your bet on tonight as the method and the way you need to go about your strategy to win the race?
Really, our strategy is just going to be try and see where we end up. You know, I'm just going to talk to Ryan here. Really, I don't know yet, but my strategy personally is just going to be try to end up in the front and try and stay there all race, because if we get in the back, then we're going to have to come up through the field. And the way trucks worked on a fixed setup at Super Speedways, it's usually a lot harder than the other series to get up through there. There's usually not a lot of holes that open up, and you know, you just get bogged down in traffic. So we're going to try to stay up front as much as we can, but we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, best of luck to you, Justin. Good to see you back out on the racetrack, and maybe we'll be talking to you after the evening.
10-4. Thanks, Tony.
Back to you guys at the booth. That's Justin Bolton. He's driving the Dollar General machine tonight. Very reminiscent of Kyle Busch's paint scheme in many Camping World Truck Series races this upcoming season.
Well, hey, you know what? That's a pretty good omen. I believe he's won a race at Talladega with that exact paint scheme, so that is a very good omen for him indeed. Dalton, quickly want to touch on something that he said real quick, and then we'll get to the Matador, Julian Madore, in just a moment. We heard him say the trucks bog down a lot, holes don't open up as often.
Go, Dalton.
Hold that thought. We will go ahead and move on to our next interview. I believe Joe has caught up with Julian Madore.
Actually, that's Evan Pasoko. I will throw it over to him down later.
My apologies.
Further down pit road.
Yeah, no, we've caught up with him down here at the end of the pit lane. Julian Madore, driver of the number 60 machine, and coming into this evening's race, you're 10th in the championship standings, entering tonight, you know, with a possibility of maybe advancing a position or two, but coming off a solid third-place finish last week, what are you looking forward to this evening?
Just really looking forward to being there at the end. That's the main thing with these Vidane races, is just surviving to the end. If you make it to 10 to go, you have a good chance at potentially being in that last little fight there. It's all about endurance and getting through the big wrecks and playing it smart.
It definitely coming in a 69-lap race. You got to survive to get down to the end if you want a shot at going home with that checkered flag, with this being, again, possibly what could be our final race here at Vidane Racing to close off the season. I'm sure it'd feel really good to get that win, you know, walk away as the last winner and get the checkered flag when it's all said and done. What's your game plan tonight?
I'm going to try and do what I've done the last 2 weeks. Top 5s the last 2 weeks. I just try to qualify at the front and be ahead of the wreck. Or wrecks, as it may be. It just seems like a plan that's worked. It doesn't usually work that way, but, you know, why not?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And we'll be looking for that number 60 machine up at the front of the field. Good luck tonight.
Thanks, man. And I'm in the number 51 this week.
All right, well, that's the driver the 51 this week. Julian Medora, look for him coming back from a solid third-place finish last week. David?
Thank you very much for that, Evan. Yeah, Julian with a third-place finish, and that will be something to watch for as we throw down to Joe Cortez, who has one half of the title fight tonight.
Coming in the number 38 machine, weighing in with 800 horsepower, Wesley Rowdy Hogue will drive the 38 machine, tied first in points tonight, looking for that championship in West after everything you've been through this season, after everything you've been through in last week alone. I can't imagine anything sweeter that would be sweeter than at the end of the night hoisting the title belt for Vidane Racing. And Wes Hogue, looks like we're having some problems with his microphone there. Wes,
I'm here now, guys.
There we go. Yes, it's been a long season. It's been a very long fight, but here you are. You're tied for points, and I know there's nothing more you want to do than hoist the championship belt over your head.
Been 12 long weeks. All of us that are up and down. So I want to thank everybody a part of Vidane Racing, all the drivers, every sponsor that we've out there, all the admins, broadcasters, the whole 9 yards. You guys have done a wonderful job. It's going to be some hard racing. I'm hoping that Ian and I can battle out to the end. A lot of memories with this, and it's going to be a very very good race. It's going to be one of those races you're not going to forget. Fast truck tonight. I've seen some fast laps. Looks good tonight. A little bit of wind tonight. There's a little bit of wind. Think you might see something you've never seen before on Vidane.net.
Well, let's talk about that fast truck. Right now, you are sitting at the top of the practice pole with a time of 48.036. Brandon Otto immediately behind you. Is it fast enough to win the championship?
You know what? I really do believe so. You know, Brandon Otto and I have definitely created a little bit of chemistry in the last few races. You know, it's been very interesting seeing E and I work together 3/4 of this race, and he and I just find the perfect partners for each other. You know, he and Devin have been able to work well together, as myself and Brandon. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see if we got what it takes to win it tonight. I believe both trucks out here, Ian and myself, have what it takes to bring home the win. It's all going to come down to luck and a little bit of finesse, and hopefully you'll see this number 38 Mellow Yellow Chevrolet Silverado in victory lane tonight.
11 starts, 1 pole, 1 win, 5 top 5s. You've built yourself a very nice little season here, but will the best be yet to come tonight? You and Ian, come down the line. Who's going to take it away?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When it comes down to it, I think I got it. You know, I think I got what it takes. You know. We'll see what happens. I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching, everybody that's been dedicated watchers as well. The entire Larkin family, Rob Larkin, Ron Larkin, Tim Knofsker, William Muffy. William is a spotter in the Wheel and Modified series. He's looking for a job. He's a hell of a spotter. He needs a job. Someone go out there and give that man a job up in the booth, or up in the tower. Justin Lapp. Again, Brandon Otto, the friends that are watch every single week. I want to thank you guys for being here, being dedicated to this, and also all the Twitter followers that I have. If you're not on Twitter, follow me at Dale Earnhardt Sr. Without the T in Earnhardt. This is going to be one of those races that you won't ever forget. It sucks that Vidane's coming to an end, but I believe we're going to put out a finale that no one's ever going to let escape their mind.
Wesley Rowdy Hogue comes in tied for points, hoping to hoist the championship belt over his head tonight. Wes, good luck to you out there. We'll see you on the track, buddy.
10-4 back door, pedal to the metal and let her roar.
In the number 22 machine, weighing in at 800 horsepower, he is your co-leader for points, Ian Crash Flash. Let's go ahead and join him now with Tony Stevens down pit road.
Joe, I'm glad you have a history in wrestling because I certainly don't, but weighing in at 800 and some horsepower sounds pretty doggone stout to go up against. And Ian, let's just ask you straight point blank, how stout is your machine here tonight?
I'd like to say it's good. Just as good as anybody else out there, just as good as Wesley. Lots of nerves coming into this event, but I mean, all in all, I'm feeling very confident about the result that's going to be coming up here. Hopefully, as Wes said earlier, we can just battle this out one-on-one. But man, it's anybody's game, man. It's trucks, it's Talladega, it's a tied point standings. Anything can happen. I'm really looking forward to this race.
Ian, obviously, this is the final race of probably Vidane, and most obviously the season. Last week at Daytona was a night that you had to claw back from completely out of contention to back into contention, to losing only enough points to be tied coming into tonight. Can you describe the pressure that's on you coming to the green flag tonight and trying to navigate for 69 laps, worried about one other guy?
Well, the best part about it is Wes can dictate my pace. I just need to keep my eyes on him, see what he's doing, see where he's going on the track, and just counter that basically. If he's up in the front, I need to be up there as well. Points mean everything. I mean, it's tied going into this final. That 1 point you get for winning a lap could decide this whole entire thing. But regardless, whatever happens, barring Wes taking the win, of course, I have the tiebreaker here in this situation. So no matter what happens, I have that tiny bit of an edge. And with as small of a points battle, or a gap, I should be saying, between us as it is, you got to take those advantages wherever you can get them. Yeah, we'll see what happens. As I said, I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be one hell of a show.
White flag last lap. It's you and Wes Hogue. Do you use the bumper?
I'm not going to send him, but race 5, B-Cars at Daytona, we had a good one-on-one. Joe remembers that one. It was probably one of the best finishes of the season. Should have come down to something like that again. Oh, man, we're going to be dooring each other. We're going to be blocking, but we're going to keep it clean. You're going to see something you haven't seen before. That's for damn sure.
That's Ian. Hopefully not tonight a crash. Plash, looking for a championship if it ain't Season 7. Dave?
All right, that does it for our pre-race show. Want to thank Dalton England for helping me out tonight. I'm David Amboy. I got to run up to the booth. We'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome back here as I wrap up the end of the pre-race show. Dave Damboyce with me, and now I'm going to send it back up to the booth. Tony Stevens, Joe Cortez, and David Damboyce.
Getting ready for 69 laps here at Talladega Super Speedway. The front row starting to show up. Guys, we're going to get ready for 69 laps of what I can only describe as pure battle. Tony, what are we going to see tonight, besides everything?
I think pretty much sheer, utter chaos, Joe. We saw practice was unpredictable. Qualifying tight as anything you could ever look at a racetrack. It's anybody's race here tonight, to say the least.
Also, another thing real quick to take a note for you, if you're just tuning in, Ian Plash, Wes Hogue tied for the championship. Plash qualified 9th, Hogue qualified 17th.
That is going to make a major difference for each of these drivers. Let's go ahead and go down our tonight's starting order presented by Rent-A-Racecar Northeast. For the Rent-A-Car Racecar Northeast, 69 laps around Talladega Superspeedway. Let's go down the qualifying order. In position number 1, Connor Atten qualifies in the pole, 51.958 seconds his time. On the outside of him, the 17 of David Polak qualifies second.
E.J. O'Rourke in the 41 will roll off third, and Austin Atkinson, AA, looking for the third win this season. He'll begin that quest from fourth.
Jeff Ramsdale will start 5th. Justin Bolton, who we interviewed in the pre-race show, starts 6th.
7th belongs to Logan Clampett in the 44 machine. On the outside of him in row number 4, the 23 of Brandon Hoff.
Championship contender Ian Plash in the 22 will roll off on the inside of row number 5, and to his outside is the 82 of Joe Branch.
Corey Stevens and Riley Roush make up row number 6.
As they roll off, row number 7, Stephen O'Rourke on the inside in the 43. Outside of him, the 48 of Ryan Hunt.
Brandon Otto pilots the 39 machine from the 15th starting spot, and Kyle Brummett is in the 04 and 16th.
The other title contender, Wes Hogue, in 17th, deep in the field. He'll start 17th. James Gutta on his outside.
Nick Del Campo in the 05 on the inside of row number 10. On the outside of him, the 70 of William Barry.
Houston Hamer is in the 177 from the 21st spot, and Taylor Liskowski in the 83 rolls 22nd.
John Dragonetti in the 2011 iRacing Man of the Year, Steve Luvender in 24th.
Doug DeNice, Chris Sweat, Reese Rents Brown, Dylan Goodland, Timothy Silliman will round out your top 29. Julian Medor, the Matador, in 30th.
A few more starters back through the field. The 31st starter, Devin Smriker, Jesse Kaplan, Jack Brooker, the final truck to take time. Davey Scoble and Kevin Parsons also get tagged to rear the field.
Running out the remainder of the field, Richard Garcia, Bryce Senesac, John Eckert, Robert Hill Jr., Braden Oakley, and Nick Lancaster.
Joining us in our coverage tonight, Dalton England, our pit road reporter, Evan Pasoko, running around everywhere down on the track. Evan, I'll throw it to you first. We're going to see some very exciting racing as they come through 3 and 4.
Yeah, Joe, that's going to be the other statement of the night. These teams are jacked. They're ready to get this thing kicked off and finish out this season, but not only the era here with Vidane Racing, the tie for the championship, everybody going to shuffling throughout the point standings throughout the night. These pit crews, these crew chiefs are going to be busy all night long. We're going to try to keep you up to date on what's going on.
Evan, car out of 4. We are getting ready to go. Green flag racing, 69 laps here at Talladega Super Speedway, all in the control of Connor Atten in the 08 machine. Ian Plash will start 9th. Wes Hogue starts 17th. The championship on the line as these guys come through the tri-oval for the first of 69 laps. Get ready for the end of an era. It's the end of a show. Green flag in the air. Connor Atten sees it, and we are racing here at Vidane for possibly the last time. Connor Atten high, David Polak low. We already got trouble.
Already, Joe, caution is out. Davey Scoble involved. This all happened at the back of the field as a couple of trucks were trying to get going. Looked like Scoble got the run. The 02 machine who was in front of him kind of got, just got stacked up with Jesse Kaplan. Kaplan stood on the brakes and got pile driven from behind. And I don't know, Dave, if that's going to be an omen for the rest of the night, but we didn't even get to the start-finish line. We've already torn 3 trucks up.
I was going to say, I thought we were here for a race. I thought we were going to get going, and it seems as if these guys were a little too eager. That probably put a little bit of fear into Plash and Hogue there just a moment ago, but now they got to deal with another long caution period here.
Well, guys, I think nerves are really starting to set in for these guys. They know what's on the line. They know the stakes here at Talladega Superspeedway, and I'm sure for a lot of these guys, there's a little bit going on, little mental games going on. Evan Pasoko, what are you hearing from these crews? I know you've been going down talking to everybody in the pre-race show. What are you hearing from these guys?
That's exactly it, Joe, is the nerves again. This is the final race, not only on the season, not only is there a championship on the line, but the fact that it's the...
And pit road, obviously, being a big part of this, our own Dalton England on pit road. A couple drivers coming down pit road early, and not necessarily just to get damage repaired.
Yeah, not much people coming down pit road didn't get any racing in. Only 2 cars not taking the green flag tonight. That is the 52 of Nick Lancaster and the 4 of Braden Oakley. That is 2 drivers not taking the green flag. 39 drivers have took the green flag tonight.
Tonight's live coverage of the 69-lap race here at Talladega Superspeedway, brought to you by Vidane Racing, now running and finishing season 7. Find out more and view their live cams live onboard cams at vidane.net. Don's Home Improvement, based in Coventry, Connecticut, proud supporter of Connecticut racer Kelsey Rattino. Find out more about them at donsidingandwindows.com. Rent a Race Car Northeast, presenting tonight's race, running dare stocks at Stafford Motor Speedway every Friday night. It's not a ride along, it's a race. Find out more at rentaracecarne.com. Rent a Race Car Northeast. Ken's Cards, sports cards and collectibles, baseball, football, NASCAR, pro wrestling, and more. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/Ken's Cards. Pro-Am Belts, designers and creators of the 2013 Vidane Racing Championship belt that one driver will hoist over his head tonight. Check them out online at proambelts.com. Xlander Designs, presenting a lot of these paint schemes you see here on the track. Check them out at xlander.com. And Trading Paints, the official paint scheme trading site of the iRacing simulation. Check them out and download the newest software at tradingpaints.com. Tony Stevens, David Danboys joining me in here in the booth. And guys, 1 lap in and already everything's shaken up.
Yeah, the number 02 of Jesse Camplin has been parked for the night on lap 2. Not sure exactly what he did to cause the penalty, but he has been parked for the night, and he called it a night, or the officials told him to call it a night.
Yeah, Dave, he was the driver that attempted to jump from way back at about the 20th row, and then stabbed the brakes and stacked them up behind him. So he was the person that, well, let me back up. He was the guy that was that guy. Yeah, that guy has a name, and it's Jesse Kaplan here tonight.
So the 02 machine early in the night gonna go ahead and put it behind the wall for being, as Tony said, that guy. Nobody wants to be that guy, especially in what's going to be the last race, possibly ever, here at Vidane.
Not only that, but it also throws the caution period in a big mess. We've got a little bit of a weird sorting out to the caution, as most of the drivers did not get the green flag before the caution. So we've got a little bit. It's stating that about 8 cars are in part of the lead lap, and then everyone else is a lap down right now. So the Vidane officials are trying to sort everything out at the moment. That's why we're under the caution for a longer period of time than expected.
Yeah, when you look at scoring, it is kind of wacky the way it appears on the actual scoring monitor. I think once we get back going green, all will be good and settled out in the world. But it certainly causes a little bit of concern, mainly because a couple of the championship contenders could be impacted by this. Now, the good news is neither one has an advantage over the other with this, whatever you want to call it,
They're both
goof or yeah, exactly. They're both just as screwed up as the other one. So Flash is being scored 2 minutes in arrears in 10th, whereas Hogue is being scored an equal 2 minutes in arrears in 17th. So whatever the bug is, whatever the issue is, it's affecting both of those championship contenders equally here at the moment, Joe.
We're hearing that they're going to go ahead and extend the yellow flag, and I believe our own Evan Pisoko has a bead on why exactly they're doing that. Evan, what are you hearing down there trackside?
It's exactly what you guys were talking about, Joe, and it's because of where that scoring loop is on the racetrack that they need to continue to delay this yellow flag so that they can continue to go over the numbers and try to get everybody in the right position. And it goes exactly back, and you guys pretty much hit the nail on the head there, and it was the fact that not all those trucks had crossed that start-finish line before the yellow flag threw, so some of them had not crossed it. They did not cross that scoring loop, so officials are trying to sort out all the spots.
Lights are off this time, and it looks like a bunch of cars going to get a wave around. Dalton England, how does this affect pit strategy for each of these drivers out here?
For now, pit strategy is not in effect, but is 69 laps tonight. Here in about 25 to 30 laps, if all goes well and the green flag is still out, we'll definitely see a lot of people be coming down pit road around halfway.
Lights come back on. This is the extension that Evan was just talking about a moment ago. And guys, this isn't what you want to see if you're ready to go green flag racing here. An extended yellow flag means it's going to be at least another lap before you're back around. And what's worse, it is going to mess with your pit strategy just a little bit.
And not only that, but it's Talladega. These caution laps are long. These are some of the longest oval caution laps you will get. I mean, we're talking about 2 minutes 15 seconds for a caution lap, so these guys are busy trying to just kind of keep their thoughts, don't let their minds race. You know, their crew members are just telling them to calm down, relax, but you got to figure they're losing it a bit in the helmet.
Well, it's going to take them a couple of laps to get everything sorted out once again. I mean, the caution flag is still back out. Lights are on atop the pace car, and it really takes you about a lap and a half or so to catch back up. Remember, these wave arounds were given just past the start-finish line, and these drivers have already made one pass around start-finish again, and now are just catching back up the tail of the field as the pace car exits turn number 4, Joe. So it's a little bit, as you said, to play with the head for sure. These guys have to think about the race ahead of them, and what was a 69-lap race has now already been reduced to about a 61 or a 62-lap race. Not a big difference, but nonetheless, if you were trying to plot your strategy out, much like you would a chess game, it just threw a wrench into it.
And that's exactly what you're doing, guys. At a track like this, you're playing chess at over 200 miles per hour. And there's absolutely no room for error when you're in that truck, when you're piloting that. One error, one twitch, one blink, and all of a sudden your night could be ruined, as well as the night of a whole lot of guys behind you. Pace car lights are off for what should be the final time. David Pollack now in control of the field. Connor Anton second. Austin Atkinson, E.J. O'Rourke, Justin Bolton rounding out your top 5. Ian Plash now in the top 10. Wes Hogue in 16th. Wes Hogue's got a big ladder to climb, guys. And with those laps, with those extra laps turned, with those extra 6 laps turned, it's going to make it a lot harder for him to do that.
Well, they're still, again, on equal footing. Of course, Wes does need to finish ahead of Ian because Ian holds the tiebreaker. But if you're taking it as rounds, I guess you could say both rounds were equal. So it kind of evens each other out.
It does, and now they get a chance to sit back and not worry about something else possibly affecting their championship. Yes, they're separated by 6 spots currently on the racetrack, but, well, I almost said this is going to be a double file restart, but it isn't because of the wave around. So already, Joe, this little gaffe in the software could play a part in how this race plays out because, well, if you're in the top 5 or the only 4 or 5 trucks in that top lane, the odds are already stacked against you as the snake that is the bottom lane extends all the way from the pole sitter on back.
The low-line freight train is the friendliest place to be when you're on the track, and if you're on the high side, it's going to be a whole lot harder. Though that being said, we've seen tandem racing before in these trucks and iRacing. We've seen them able to hold their own if you have a good partner to push you around, and if you have that, if you're able to get that buddy to give you the shove all the way around the track, you may be able to make it work, but to start them out, to just grab them out early, that's going to be the biggest challenge you're going to have to face on what will be the first official restart here at the Rental Race Car 183, the finale for the Vidane Super Speedway Series. But David Pollack on the pole, Connor Anton in the 08 on right behind them, side by side. They get ready, green flag about to fly, and hoping for a better outcome this time. They hit the loud pedal, green flag flies, and now it's the 08 of Connor Anton back in position number 1. 2 lines going into turns 1 and 2.
And surprisingly, a lot of drivers from the back there are trying to jump into the high line and keep that high line going.
They are. You see a couple of drivers starting to move up there, but really what this has done is, at least for the first half a lap or so, Joe, has really strung the field out. Now, we're going to see everybody get up to speed, and they're going to suck right back up together, bumper to bumper. I would anticipate, and you're going to see some tandem groups form real quickly, and just everybody's going to be like a rubber band, get stretched out, and get recoiled right back together, I would think. That might not happen. Already I'm seeing a few distinct packs begin to form throughout the running order, but at the moment, at least your championship contenders, Ian Plash and Wes Hogue, they're all within touch of the leader.
Connor Anton, David Pollack already hooking up with each other to help push each other to the front. Justin Bolton, the 0 in the 18 machine. EJ O'Rourke right behind here. I'm sorry, Brandon Hoff right behind him in the 23. And then on the high side, the 08 of Connor Anton getting the push from the 41 of EJ O'Rourke. You're starting to see a lot of tandems work together and come through here, guys. Tandem racing could be the name of the game tonight.
It's kind of a hybrid, actually. It looks as if it's a little bit of a tandem and a little bit of a pack there, as they aren't seeming to be able to get away.
Yeah, definitely you cannot get away, it appears, from the group, at least not at this stage. Now, depending on how long it takes you to swap or not swap, as the case were, you might be able to separate yourself a little bit from the pack. Interesting note, Wes Hogue looks like might be having some electrical issues, some connection problems on the number 38 already in this one as we work lap number 9. Joe, I don't know if I'm in a championship fight if that's what I want to be seeing this early in a race.
The Mellow Yellow machine was in the top 15. Now he's dropped to the top 17 behind the 39 of Brandon Otto, and they're starting to lose the draft in a hurry. They need some help. They might need a yellow flag to get back up there and get back in the mix. Ian Blash not faring a whole lot better himself, currently sitting in position number 11 outside of that 10-pack that you see controlling the race right there. Top 6 on the low side, top 4 on the high side. And you got these 10 drivers all fighting for position around the lap car. That's number 14 of John Dragonetti. He's going to go ahead and go one lap down as these guys race around him with ease. Two-line racing still going on, still led by 2 tandems, the 17 of David Pollack, the 18 now of Justin Bolton.
Yeah, Bolton tried to get something going on the high side, had a push from Connor Anton, but it seemed to have stalled out as they're going to swap partners now.
Swap drafting partners, at least, to make sure you specify.
Oh, yeah,
some
my
people,
apologies.
some people whose brains are elsewhere. Just kidding. But Bolton, dropped to the low line there, and really didn't expect that. I was just getting ready to make the comment about how Austin Atkinson is up there looking for win number 3. He's leading that outside lane, and he's got somebody else packing his tailgate right now, trying to push him to the front. But I think Bolton has got very few, if any, allegiances in this field right now, Joe. He is out there simply for himself, and whatever friends he can make along the way, that's great. But otherwise, it's all about the 18 truck, at least in his own mind tonight.
Austin Atkinson opened the season with 2 consecutive wins. David Pollack won the 3rd race, so you already have 2 previous race winners up front battling for position. Austin Atkinson, David Pollack, you know these guys are going to leave everything on the track. They are not going to come home with an intact truck tonight if they can help it, because it's going to be all about how they battle for the win. Behind them, the 44 machine of Logan Clampett, the 33 of Stephen O'Rourke, now back in the mix once again. 6-pack starting to break away from the field. Your championship contenders still a little bit of ways away. The 22 machine of Ian Plash, he's now 13th. Wes Hogue, 4 positions behind him in 17th.
Now, Plash still hanging on to that points lead right now, as they're going to go 3 wide in 1. That's the 05 of Nick Del Campo on the high side there.
Del Campo looks like trying to perform the swap amongst the entire pack right there, and that's the problem you run into when you get one of these Hugungus packs, is if you are sucked up on the back bumper of the guy in front of you, it's very hard to move around, very hard to get air, and very hard to breathe your race truck. Something very important. You want to make sure the engine in these machines lasts till the end of the race. Lap 65, go ahead, melt her down. You don't need it anymore, but you got to get to lap 65. And Joe, speaking of getting there, you look at what this field has already formed into. It's multiple packs throughout the racetrack, and that's something we saw at the outset on that original start. We said could happen. I really suspected a lot more of these trucks would suck back up to one another, but it hasn't happened. So that could probably be one of the best things that's happened to this race, is that it's separated the field into these distinct packs that are a little bit more manageable as compared to, a single 35-truck sprawling blob.
Meanwhile, back up front, 3 wide as the 43 machine of Stephen O'Rourke takes control. Getting the push for the 23 of Brandon Hoff and the 12 of Jeff Ramsdell. They were 3 wide for almost a half a lap into turns 3 and 4. They switched it back to 2 lines, and now you have the 23-43 battling back and forth for position advantage. Brandon Hoff, he will be your new leader as we cross the start-finish line. Immediately on his tail, the 12 machine. That belongs to Jeff Ramsdell and a slew of drivers still battling for position. Guys, this just shows if you have a capable truck and a couple guys will give you a push, anywhere on the track is fair ground tonight.
Yeah, and another thing that I'm noticing is that a lot of these guys are making some pretty aggressive moves for lap 14 in the race. Very quick cutoffs, very quick filling of the holes, very, very quick moves to try and just hang on to their current position because they know how important it is track position here. We've seen that the top 8 trucks or so have stayed in the same spots.
Well, hello. Yeah, they just... For the most part, they have. They've been swapping partners amongst themselves. That's been really about it. There are some exceptions to that, however, and it looks like we might start to see them shuffle up a little bit more. But yes, track position has been king tonight. The one thing I am thinking that might be in the brains of some of these people and some of these drivers is that lead pack we just spoke about, Dave, it's not nearly as big as what it could be. And Joe, I think if you make a mistake, if you fall out of the line, get shuffled out of line, your brain goes, okay, I'm not going to lose nearly as much. I'm only going to lose, 10 spots as opposed to 20 or 30 spots. So it might help a little bit that these guys can take that extra half second and relax and realize their day is not completely over already.
One driver looks a little bit nervous out there, looks like he's having a little bit of trouble, is Wes Hogue in that 38 Mellow Yellow Chevrolet. He tried to catch up with that group. At one point, he was 1 position behind Ian Plash in the 22 machine. Now he's going to drop from the penthouse to the doghouse. He will now be scored position number 18. 5 points in front, 5 positions in front of him is a 22 of Ian Plash, continuing to run on the back bumper of the 82 of Joe Branch. And that's a tandem, guys, that's starting to look strong out there. They're starting to catch up to that lead group as they continue to jockey for position number 1. Austin Atkinson, your 2-time winner here in Vidane Season 6. He's got the run again, and he's going to be back in control of this field.
Yeah, and the main thing is that from what we're able to see is that with them mixing it up here at the front, Plash is able to hang on to the lead pack, but Hogue, the further back he gets, the more of a risk he has of not catching up to this main pack, and that could be trouble if this thing stays green for a long time.
No, I agree. That is going to be an issue for Wes Hogue. He needs to figure out some way to suck back up, but Dave, I almost wonder if that's not a product of the electrical issues we documented earlier, and that he really can't get up there very comfortably, and he kind of has to take what he can get right now and put himself in the best position possible. But I'd be a little leery to be around Wes Hogue if I saw that truck flashing a little bit.
Absolutely.
Turns 1 and 2 is the 66 and 17 machine now fall back in a line. Lots of drivers making bargains. Lots of drivers looking for partners out there. Evan Basoko has a finger on the pulse of all of it. Evan, what are you hearing?
Almost exactly again what you guys are talking about is the fact that risk versus reward at this point in the race, and not only for our championship contenders, but all these guys, they want to stay up front, they want to stay in touch with these guys up at the front of the pack. But again, guys, this is Talladega. All these guys want to win. We've seen it so far in this race, and it's pretty exciting down here for the pit lane to be checking it out, that these guys, they're not really riding around like most of these guys expected. It's pretty intense up front. So these guys, again, debating, they want to stay nice and easy, but then again, they can't lose touch with those leaders.
Yeah, as we got a little bit of a 4-truck breakaway now. We've got the 44 of Logan Campbett, Connor Anton, Stephen O'Rourke, and Riley Rauch up there in the 4th spot.
Yeah, really not a whole lot of change, and now we start to see those top 4 trucks you just spoke of get in line, single file for the, well, never mind. Forget that. Stephen O'Rourke, yeah. He decided to poke his nose out into some clean air and try to get a run, but nothing there. And something they need to realize, Joe, is every time these leaders do that, it allows everybody else to suck back in on their back bumper around the tailgate. And while these drivers might be thinking about, hey, I want to lead, I want to see what my truck has, I almost think you need to be thinking long-term here and trying to separate yourself from the pack as we continue to go on, because it's a lot easier to beat 5 trucks or 8 trucks as compared to beating 15 or 20 trucks.
Tony, we're almost starting to see a little bit of shades of the finale of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship last season, where you saw Ray Alfalla and Tyler Hudson come in with two different strategies. We're looking like we're seeing a couple strategies almost forced out here between your two championship contenders. Ian Plash trying to hang in with that top 10, trying to hold back to avoid the big one, and then Wes Hogue doing everything he can to try to salvage his championship early as the 08 machine now gets out of line.
Hello.
The 08 machine almost had some big problems. Connor Anton falls back out of line, but back to my point I was trying to make there, Tony, you're starting to see guys play strategy games early, especially your championship contenders, and for Wes Hogue,
here we go.
Track.
Big issues, turn 3, I think you're, hello. We just totaled a couple of them over in the turn 3 fence. Ian Plash got through it with relatively minor damage, if any at all. Wes Hogue, on the other hand, Wes Hogue is not in such great shape, but Hogue does appear to have very minimal damage on the 38 machine. He had to narrowly escape that one, and it looks like both of our championship contenders are able to avert disaster, Joe.
All starting around the number 23 position, number 3 machine. Evan Pasoko had a front row view of all that. Evan, walk us through what happened.
Yeah, definitely. That's everybody discussing it. And the 23 crew, I was having a couple of discussions, some yelling down here on the pit lane with some of the other teams. But the consensus from the 23 team, the Brandon Hoff's crew, is feeling like the 44 machine, pushed up a little bit, making it 3 wide, ended up turning the 23 in front of the field. Now, Brandon Hoff does have a little bit of damage on that machine. He did not get piled in, but was arguably the cause of that. So they're currently debating up without the pit box whether they're going to come down and try to get that thing fixed up.
Pit road about to be very, very lucky. And guys, your points leaders, they got out lucky. Let's just be honest about it.
Well, Hogue took the strategy of let's slow it down to nearly stopped and get through it that way. Plash just had a horseshoe.
Yeah, he really did. Watching the replays, you see Ian Plash, he almost could have had a truck or two ricochet down in front of him. There was not a whole lot he'd have been able to do, but luckily it didn't happen, and both of those drivers get through what appears to be scot-free. Dalton, looks like it's getting busy in your neck of the woods on pit road.
Everybody behind Stephen O'Rourke and the 43 came down pit road. The 43, the leaders, came in for full fuel and no tires on this pit stop, as this is definitely going to make a pit strategy. It's going to make it different from here on out in this 69-lap race. As they're off of pit lane, the 43 is going to win the race off of pit lane. Right behind him in the 48 of Ryan Hunt.
So it looks like Stephen O'Rourke wins the race up pit road. Riley Roush behind him. Ryan Hunt, Justin Bolton, David Pollack, your top 5. Ian Plash coming off pit road behind them as well. And Wes Hogue with minimal damage on his car. Looks like he's getting, or truck I should say, looks like he's going to be all right, though. Looks like there might be lower front end damage. Guys, how is that going to affect his odds tonight?
Joe, I don't think it's really going to affect him that much. I think most of the damage you see on his truck and Ian Plash's truck is from just pushing in the draft. Not a big deal. I think for the most part it's going to be very, very minimal. I don't anticipate that becoming any sort of major problem, at least not at this stage of the race, I wouldn't think. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I don't see it being an issue. I mean, we are still early, too. That was a big scare for him, but seems like he'll be all right after that.
Jeff Ramsdell in the 12 machine, the Don's Home Improvement Silverado, limping back down to pit road. His night might be done as he tries to crab walk it down there. Jeff Ramsdell, heavy damage as a result of that incident. We are just about, we will be a third of the way done here when we cross the start-finish line to start lap 23. Right now it's going to be, looks like the 35 of Robert Hill Jr. and the 43 of Stephen O'Rourke. First and second, Robert Hill did not elect to come down to get service that time by, so he will be the first car on the lead lap. Guys, is good move, bad move? What are your thoughts on Robert Hill staying out?
Well, Robert's 7th in points right now, and he's coming in now. Never mind.
Yeah, I think it looked like he probably wanted to stay out to lead a lap to maybe get an extra point or two to maybe try to jump him up a little bit in the standings. So now the question is, Dalton, what is everybody doing on pit road? 2 tires, 4 tires, fuel only? We're getting to that point in the race where strategy is quickly becoming something we need to look at.
as you guys said, Robert Hill stayed out and wanted to lead the lap. The crew came down pit lane, the 10 and the 35 partners. The 35's waiting for the 10 car, but the 35's going to take 4 tires and a full tank of fuel. Same with his teammate and the number 10. They're off of pit lane, 4 tires and fuel for the 35 crew.
Evan Basocco, you've been talking to guys up and down pit road. You've been kind of getting an idea of a strategy. At this point of the race, third of the race over, how does this yellow flag affect strategy?
It's going to throw a curveball. I mean, these guys came down the pit lane, and I'm sure they would have liked to see that green flag run, but the crew chiefs were prepared for this. And I mean, some of them almost saw it coming there with the way those guys were racing. And I was talking to the crew chief on the driver of the 43 machine, and when we threw it down here not too long ago, talking to the crew chief with our championship leaders, and that was the fact that the racing was just a little bit too intense for them the way it was going right now. And evidently, you saw what happened, and both our leaders managed to squeak it through. The guys at the front of the pack came down for fuel-only stops. We're seeing guys come down in the tail end of the lead lap, taking 4 tires just for the hell of it. Why not put 4 fresh rubber on it? That's their idea. Get out to the back of the pack and see if they can get anything to work with it. But Joe, still a long way to go tonight.
Still a long way to go. Only a third of the way through. Ian Blash in 7th, Wes Hogue in 12th. When we restart, guys, a little over a lap left to go. Let's go ahead and take it around the horn real quick. At this point, a third of the way in, you're sitting in one of these trucks. Where's your head at, and what's the game plan? Dave, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm thinking, do we have enough fuel to make it? That is the main thing. Do we need to make another stop? Secondly, I'm also thinking, I want to stay with that lead pack, but we just saw what happened to the lead pack. We just had a big wreck that almost took out the 2 title contenders. So I'm thinking, you know, you got to balance track position between where you want to be safe.
I think for the most part, I have to agree with you. You need to make sure you think long term. Think about trying to save your equipment before the end, and it really depends on where you're at and what your goal is for tonight. If you're an Austin Atkinson or a Justin Bolton and you're here simply to win, yeah, you're probably going to take some more chances, and you're probably going to try to do a little bit more to keep your truck up front and maybe risk tearing it up before that final lap or 2 of the race. If you're the Wes Hogues or the Ian Plashes of the world, you might be a little bit more conservative, but we talked to Ian and Wes earlier. We know that Ian is pacing himself off of Wes Hogue. If Wes drops back, Ian may be more comfortable dropping back. If Wes stays up front, Ian's going to be forced to stay up front. So it's a little bit of, well, whatever you want to call it, really. I guess a little bit of tit for tat as Hogue and Plash try to figure out what they want to do. But I think the biggest key, though, is yes, you have to look long-term about keeping your truck around at the end of the race. And that might mean, Joe, when you really don't want to, pulling out of line, backing off the throttle, and dropping back 500 feet, because that means you're going to have a truck left when the guys in front of you wad them up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, guys, it's going to come down to survival of the fittest in this thing. We've seen 2 wrecks. They took out a good number of trucks. We're getting ready to go back green, so the crew's down here getting ready in position to get back going here. But again, you got to survive. Again, 69 laps on the board. Yeah, we're pacing under lap 24, so as Joe mentioned, past the 1/3 mark, and we're starting to work our way down, knock the laps off. But right now, the strategy, I think it would have to be the same. You want to be patient right now, ride around, not lose touch with that lead pack, especially the leaders, if this thing does go green flag to the end. But again, if you're those championship leaders, you're going to want to be on the inside lane. I wouldn't suggest those guys pushing 2-3 wide. If they can avoid it, they're going to do it.
As Tony said, here most people are, except for Wes Hogue and Ian Plash, they are just going for the win, as we've seen the last caution would cause that. All these drivers are just going for the win, except for those 2. And as we're getting ready to go back green, I'll send it back up to the booth.
The Rent a Race Car 183 picking up very, very quickly as the pace car gets ready to make the hard left turn down pit road and get out of what's going to be a melee for the lead. Stephen O'Rourke in front of the field. Riley Roush on it beside him. Justin Hunt, Ryan Hunt, Justin Bolton, David Pollack, Logan Clement, Ian Plash, EJ O'Rourke, Brandon Otto, Joe Branch, your top 10 as they get ready to get back to the business of racing one more time here in the Rent a Race Car 183. Green flag flies at Talladega Super Speedway on the outside. Once again, he seems to have the jump. It's Riley Roush, but he's got no one to help him. Stephen O'Rourke might have the good advantage right now.
It looks like he is going to have the advantage. O'Rourke in that Monster Energy machine on the bottom of the speedway, but look behind him. Here comes Justin Bolton. Bolton to the outside by himself, going to try to use the side draft and make it 3 wide. Oh, this might not be a wise move, David. Something we need to worry about. This is as close as we've seen this entire pack all race long. Some guys in the back who weren't sucked up to that lead group. They might take some unnecessary chances here, or they may not. It appears the final 10 trucks or so of the group already starting to fall back a little bit, and this race, as we saw earlier, starting to string out already, and groups are starting to make themselves separate from each other, and maybe, just maybe, it won't be quite the disaster we were anticipating.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you look at that, that is the highest we've seen either of the title contenders run. Ian Flash running right about in the main pack now, and Wesley Hogue dropping back.
Wes Hogue sitting in 13th position. He needs some help. He's running with a couple damaged cars. In front of him is 08 Connor Atton's got some rear end damage. EJ O'Rourke in the 41, heavy rear end damage. Those trucks may not be as competitive as Wes Hogue wants, and that's definitely going to play into the hand of the 22 machine. Is now Devin Smirker on the low line. He's in trouble. He's going to go at least another lap down here on the field. Ian Flash now running position number 6, giving the push to the 17 of David Pollack. And Ian Flash finding a way to make it work. The 18 cuts in front of him.
Here we go, 3 wide in the middle of that pack for a minute there as they head through. 3 trucks on the high line there.
3 up top, and this is where if you're Ian Flash, you've got to be worried, guys. You saw what happened a few laps ago up front where it's supposed to be safe. Flash now switches lanes and decides to go to the top behind the Austin Atkinson machine, but nothing there. He now is going to have to fall back to the bottom of the racetrack. So I think Ian might be second-guessing himself a little bit. He's not taking any risks. Whoa, hello! Wes Hogue just about got stuffed in the outside wall a few seconds ago into turn number 3. And looks like caution on the Speedway. We got trouble over in turn 3, guys.
Missed the trucks that involved, but trouble, definitely trouble in turn number 3. That will bring out the caution flag for the 3rd time tonight. And it looks like it's going to be the 10 of John Eckert. Got a piece of that one as well as he started a crab walk around the track. The 10 of John Eckert got into the wall after the push from the 57 machine. And that could be part of what brought out the yellow flag, guys.
Yeah, he came back across the racetrack. Kevin Parsons caught a piece of it as well. And once that machine of, the machine of Eckert came back across the racetrack, it pretty much stopped in the back straightaway. That is what triggered the yellow flag and debris being shed from that Works Tool Company machine, and that will bring out what I guess be the 3rd caution of the night.
Yeah, it looks as if it was just a bump draft gone wrong down the back straightaway there. Just wasn't squared up, and Eckert was sent for a, as they say, a ticket ride over to the inside wall.
Evan Pasoko kept his eye on that 10 machine, or the 10 truck, all the way through. What exactly happened in that 10 truck, Evan?
Yeah, they were just riding in line, and John Eckert coming over the radio, and he just said they just got shot out of line, and that's one of the challenges that you see when you have a 2-car tandem and a 3rd car comes in line is when you're the guy in the middle, you kind of get bounced around, and that's exactly what John Eckert is telling his crew, is just he just got shot out of line the way the contact happened. He tried to keep it out of the wall, but that thing was just too sideways, and that thing torn up with the 10 machine, and their night pretty much done. Tough break for John Eckert and his crew.
So now we're seeing one of the problems of the bump draft. One raw false move in these trucks at Talladega, and they can go awry very quickly, send these trucks around. Plus, with the way these trucks are built, with the big beds like that, they don't necessarily have the same aerodynamics and the same weight distribution that you would say in, say, a Nationwide car or a Cup car. That makes these guys a lot more susceptible to a lot of things that can go wrong.
Yeah, Joe, these trucks are not nearly as stable aerodynamically. Anytime you have a flat surface like you do in the back of one of these trucks, it tends to create a little bit of turbulence behind the vehicle. And when that turbulence on the bed, it can actually create a little bit of lift. Now, you're not going to see the car or the truck all of a sudden just flip over from that lift, but it does create just a little bit of lift that maybe can take a little bit of weight off the rear springs and maybe make this truck just a little bit unstable at times. Now, you do have a lot bigger sideboard, essentially, with the design of the truck, so that helps in terms of side force, but all those aerodynamic things put together, yes, they do drive differently. They punch a bigger hole in the air, and they create more unstable air around these trucks. So it's something you do have to worry about because it isn't a Nationwide or a Cup car, as you said, but these guys have been around these trucks before. They've got plenty of laps in them. They know, for the most part, exactly what to expect, and really, they shouldn't be throwing a whole lot of surprises here, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, and another thing with the trucks here is that those front ends on these Chevy Silverados that everyone drives in this series, they're not flat. They aren't as flat as the Nationwide car or even the Cup car for that matter. They're probably the most round of the three. So you really got to make sure you're square when you're going to give somebody a shot down the back straightaway and such. Actually, looking here, doesn't appear to be anybody coming down pit road. We didn't really have too many laps under that green flag run. So, well, let's go ahead and check with Dalton. Dalton, anything going on in pit lane?
On one of the championship contenders of Ian Plash, they came over the radio as soon as the yellow flag flew, told Ian, do not pit. We have not reached halfway. We have to pit at least one more time. No need in trying to pit here. Let's try to make sure and see if we can get up to the front here and see if the front few go into pit lane and can lead a lap to get that one extra point over Wes Hogue. But that did not happen. Wes Hogue and Ian Plash staying out. Ian Plash will stay out, and no tires, no fuel for the 22 car.
So the 22 car electing to stay out. He will be scored in position number 6, the 38 in position number 12. And guys, time is running out for the 38 of Wes Hogue. We are almost at the halfway point of this race, and laps are clicking down quicker and quicker and quicker as they come around.
Yeah, Joe, I think the biggest problem Wes Hogue is going to face here is not so much track position. I think he's proven that he's got a fast truck. He can make his way forward if he needs to. He hasn't really been very flashy about trying that and proving that, but I've seen him make some moves out of the corner of my eye that say, yeah, he's got a truck capable of doing it. But I think his biggest problem, Dave, is electrical issues that keep plaguing him. He can't put himself in a position to get crossed up with those warp issues, with the electrical issues in that truck until the very end of the race. And the way these races play out, Dave, that could be a bad thing because a late caution could completely screw his strategy.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing would be it would be a damn shame, quite frankly, if this championship were settled due to some sort of outside interference like electrical issues. That would be just not demoralizing, but it would be disappointing if this title fight couldn't be battled out on even footing.
But it wouldn't be the first time that a championship has been decided as a result of an outside interference or a foreign object, as it were. Let's go back to the Sprint Cup Championship 2 years ago, where Brad Keselowski effectively won the championship after Jimmy Johnson got wrecked out.
That is very true. That is very true. But ultimately, I think everyone watching here tonight would like to see these two be able to battle it out on even grounds. And I really hope those connection issues do get better. Wesley, I think, is probably trying to figure out something to try and get it a little bit more stable, but he's kind of at the mercy of what he's got right now. So
he is the mercy of that. But and to correct you, Joe, actually not an accident so much as it was a lug nut, the problem on Jimmy Johnson's car at that race at Homestead that began the demise of the 48 car that night. 95 cent, $1.25, whatever you want to call it, lug nut that became an issue. Of course, they had other issues later with the hub, so on and so forth, but it all began because of one lug nut. I'll never forget that sound. I'll never forget the call of my colleague and my buddy Steve Post on the radio. One lug nut affecting the championship. It's minor. It seems so inconsequential, but that $1 lug nut cost Jimmy Johnson millions of dollars that year, and hopefully something as simple as a $1 network cable or something along those lines in Wes Hogue's defense does not affect this championship either.
Evan, we're almost halfway done with this race as they come down the back stretch into turns 3 and 4. What are we looking for on the restart?
Looking for another hairy restart, and again, these guys are going to have to be careful. A lot of these drivers and a lot of the pit crews talking to try to get to the inside lane. That way, if something happens, they get a chance to avoid it, but nobody here expecting anything less than what we've seen so far. It's going to be intense right off the green.
Dalton England, from your view on pit road, what are they going to be concerned about in the second half of the race?
Now is strategy on the fuel. They're reaching the halfway point, so going to have to pit at least one more time with the 60% fuel cell. All of the drivers will have to pit. Definitely going to make it interesting.
Going to be interesting to say the least. Stephen O'Rourke restarts in front. Logan Clampett on his outside. Riley Roush, Austin Atkinson, row number 2. David Pollack, Ian Plash, row number 3. Connor Ratton, Julian the Matador Mador in row number 4. Corey Stevens, Brand Auto, rounding out your top 10. Wes Hogue on the outside in position number 12. Pace car will make the hard left turn down pit road, getting the heck out of the way of the drivers remaining in these trucks. Stephen O'Rourke in control of the field. Ian Plash 6th, Wes Hogue 12th, and get ready for another chaotic restart as the green flag flies here at Talladega. We are almost halfway over in the red race car 183, and neither leader wants to give an inch. The 43, the 44, side by side to turns 1 and 2.
Stephen O'Rourke and Logan Clampett on the front row, and as you said, neither one willing to give an inch, but they're going to have to. Now Ian Plash on the outside. He's going to be the runner-up car on that outside lane, runner-up truck, I should say, and he's even getting a shove. Well, he was getting a shove from behind, tried to squeeze himself down in line. That nearly was a disaster as Julian Mador was there in the 51 truck. Luckily for Plash, able to get that truck out of harm's way. He'll fall back a few spots, and in fact, Wes Hogue deciding to go to the top lane now as well.
Could Wes Hogue's internet issues be fixed? Could the electrical issues be solved? We'll have to see. He's got half a race to try and get by Ian Plash and stay in front of Ian Plash. A little bit of a breakaway at the front. 4 trucks breaking away.
But right now I'm watching the 2 trucks that are in between the 22 of Ian Plash and the 38 of Wes Hogue. That is the 82 machine of Joe Branch and the 39 of Brandon Otto. Effectively, only 2 trucks separate your points leaders right now as the 38 struggling to get front. Oh, the 41 gets spun. The 41 gets spun. That's EJ O'Rourke's solo spin by himself into the infield on the backside, still green.
They're keeping it green. Gonna see if the officials decide to throw it. It looks like we're gonna stay green.
That truck out of harm's way down the apron. He gets it righted, so it will not be necessary to throw the yellow flag on the field, which is something certainly I think we're all glad to see. Up front, here comes Austin Atkinson. He's got help from David Pollack on the outside lane. Thought better of it. Will tuck back in line. The top 4 single file. Everyone else behind him, they're fighting it out for 5th on back, and very quickly that group has, well, thinned itself out to only a couple of trucks, a couple of lanes wide, whereas just 2 laps ago, they were 3 and 4 wide and acting absolutely crazy. Ian Plash is part of that as well. He's all the way back to 10th. Wes Hogue, he's now being scored in 17th.
And Wes Hogue having a hard time out there running right now on the 39 of Brandon Otto. Nobody wants to give the mellow yellow Chevrolet a hand, which is a shame because remember, Wes Hogue was fastest in practice. Either, guys, is this a strategy move on Wes Hogue's part to try to avoid the big one, or is he just starting to have some issues with that truck?
Not sure. I think he's still trying to feel out that electrical issue. I think he's stable. I think he's good to go and make a run, but it appears as if this might still be strategy, though. You never know.
I think to an extent it could be. He's at the back of the lead pack. So he's still in touch with the leaders if he needs to hit the button and go. If this race runs that long and it's necessary, that he has to do that. But he's just far enough back that if something happens, he can get on the binders. He can come to a stop, as we saw earlier, and try to navigate around it. The other thing that he's going to see here momentarily is Ian Plash. Plash had dropped down to the bottom of the racetrack, and in fact, well, Wes Hogue is nearly back to the back bumper of Ian Plash. You'll see on the camera there, Plash is only effectively a truck or 2 ahead of Wes Hogue. So that's good news if you're the 38, because you know that, well, Ian's right in front of me. If something happens, we're both going to be caught up in it more than likely, and I know where he's at on the racetrack. It does something for you, Joe, when you're racing a guy for a championship and you can literally see his back bumper.
38 now, 2 trucks away from the 22 of Ian Plash, the 22-38 of Wes Hogue. They are in touch with each other, and now I'm starting to think we're starting to see business pick up as we are over halfway through. Evan Pasocco, I know you've talked with the crew chief of that 38 machine. What's he saying about the strategy from here on out?
it's a little bit of a strategy. Again, they wanted to drop back to this point, and they're staying in touch with the leaders, but we've just passed the halfway point, and crew chief came over the radio and told Wes to start creeping up there, because again, this thing has a possibility of going green to the end. Are they predicting that? No. The guys up on top of the pit box are predicting a caution before they come down and make their final stop, but they're letting Wes Hogue know what's going on the racetrack. They're telling him that he's 3 wide, hold that sucker down, and try to stay safe.
Now 3 wide around the 38 of Wes Hogue. The 18, the 48 going for a ride. It looks like the 32 and the 20 it looks like, no, 00 going to go for a ride as well. They go back to 2 wide. We're starting to see guys starting to make a little risk, starting to make little moves out there that could put them and their trucks at risk. Austin Atkinson back in front. The question, though, is for how much longer?
Well, like we were saying at the beginning of the race, we were saying that a lot of these guys were just trying to keep their equipment in one piece, just trying to get to that halfway point, and now they're going to start turning it on, and that seems to be the case.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you right now, Dave. This is getting to the point where these drivers all know they have to make one more stop. They have to come to pit lane once more before this race is over, and there's no sense in being stupid with your race truck and not getting to that point. So they're all trying to get themselves in position to, what I would assume, be a green flag pit stop to come down pit road, get your partners established, make sure you don't do something stupid getting on the pit lane to cost yourself a chance at a win, or in the case of a Wes Hogue or Ian Plash, a championship. Of course, as soon as I say that, they fan back out again, but I think that's in the back of their minds, and a lot of drivers now are just trying to get to that pit stop, assess where they're at, and then try to play the cards they've been dealt.
Austin Atkinson still in control of this field. Stephen O'Rourke, Riley Roush, Stephen Pollack, Corey Stevens, your top 5 in the Rent a Race Car 183, halfway done here at Talladega Super Speedway. For those just joining us here on LSRTV, across YouTube and wherever you're at, Joe Cortez, Tony Stephen, David Damboys joining you in the booth. Evan Pisoko down across pit road, and Dalton England watching everything happen to him on pit road. Guys, we've seen an incredible race so far. A lot of great driving, a lot of skillful driving. Ian Plash, though, and Wes Hogue, they're now starting to do a little bit of business as they keep creeping up to one another and reminding each other what's on the line tonight. The championship and the championship belt for Season 6 of the Vidane Racing Series.
Well, we got contact.
That's number 83 of Taylor Laskoski that got into one truck. Didn't see exactly who that was. It was one of the green machines. I think it was the 44 truck of Logan Clampett that nearly got shot into the outside wall, but that was one of those moments. It was right around Ian Plash and just in front of Wes Hogue, Joe. That could have been disaster. And look, you can see Ian Plash, he backed off. He saw it coming and he decided to give these guys a little bit of extra room. Plash trying everything he can to keep that 22 truck intact for the end of the race.
Meanwhile, Wesley Hogue only 1 car behind Plash now. Whoa!
Wow! Right in front of Ian Plash. Just about bumped the farm. Laskoski again with issues. Ian Plash is going to be counting his blessings on this one, and that's only the last 2 laps.
Only the last 2 laps and very scary drives around Ian Plash. It almost ended up being another truck, costing him the championship. Now only 1 truck between the 22 of Ian Plash and the 38 of Wes Hogue. Wes Hogue's going to go high, and we could see our first points lead change happening any second now. Whoa, 38's going to go way high. 38's going to make it 3 wide. He's going to make the tandem switch with a 39 of Brandon Otto, and it's a good move on his part, but that's going to cost him some position.
Joe, I think he might be playing around. We see that electrical issue creep back up now once again, and I wonder if he's got that electrical, that latency meter up on the truck, anticipating that becoming an issue momentarily, so he backed out of that move. But I also wonder if that wasn't another test where he said, all right, here's the run I can get, here's the push I can get, I don't want to show my hand yet, but I know what can happen. Meanwhile, ahead of this group, look at him, Joe. They're stacking them 3 wide, 2 rows deep, and that's got to be cause for concern for Plash and Hogue both.
And now they just fall in, just as soon as you say that. But they were 3 wide, about 2 rows deep, like you said just a minute ago, going into 1. As now they seem to have fallen into a line. They must have realized, hey, it's not lap 65 yet. We need to kind of get some more mileage in here.
The 66 of Austin Atkinson continues to lead. Remember, he has won your first 2 races here at Vidane. He knows how to win at Daytona. He knows how to win at Talladega. And you know he wants to add win number 3 to his season and be the wins leader on Vidane Season 6. Austin Atkinson in front. Riley Roush behind him. Justin Bolton, Ryan Hunt, David Pollack all up there as well. And now the 22 cruising without having to worry about the 38. But the 38, like the Lion in winter, just seems to be waiting and prowling on the 22.
They're always within the same camera shot. You're seeing it here. Plash is running 9th. Hogue is running 15th at the line just a minute ago.
But Hogue is starting to drift back just a little bit. He's kind of in that, it's not really a second pack yet, but if they keep it this rate, it's going to be a second pack, and that's something I think he needs to worry about. And already you see him up on the bumper of the guy in front of me, Brandon Otto, saying, "Go! Do not let me lose that lead pack. Go!" And he will, in fact, push that group back up to the touch with the lead pack. Meanwhile, up front, Justin Bolton. Bolton again, getting a little bold on the outside of the racetrack in that Dollar General machine, looking to make a move on Austin Atkinson as they work their way to turn number 3, Joe. And I think, at least if this is any indication, the 18 of Bolton, the 66 of Atkinson, 2 of the big players and probably 2 of the main contenders for the win here this evening, assuming nothing goes wrong between here and lap 69.
And guys, and this is where you're seeing a little bit of strategy and a little bit of experience. Justin Bolton having the real car experience. Austin Atkinson, one of the guys that's been synonymous with iRacing for quite a while here. You're starting to see a 2 level experience. As 18 now makes contact. 18 in the wall, able to save it. He's going to come back in front of the 43. 43 has to go high. And as soon as I say that, the 18 in major trouble.
He got contact from Pollack. David Pollack got into Justin Bolton. Now, mind you, Justin pinched him a little bit coming through the tri-oval, but it was pretty close quarters and just about bought the farm in front of this entire pack. That's something, you know, the championship contenders didn't want to see, and they almost saw it. Now they're both entrenched in this entire bee's nest. Oh, and well, Wes Hogue's entrenched in it. Ian Plash, he's up to 5th or 6th now, ahead of this group as they work through the tri-oval.
Yeah, but he got shoved to the outside. Don't know if that was a design move or not. He's got the 82 behind him. That would be Joe Branch behind him, as now we got 3 wide with the title contenders in the middle.
Title contenders in the middle. That's obviously the scariest place to be here at Talladega Super Speedway. Leading that outside line, though, it's a 22 machine of Ian Plash. We are almost 2/3 of the way done, and Ian's starting to say, "Let's go. Let's quit messing around. Let's end this once and for all." As behind them, they continue to push high. The 18 almost makes contact again. The 48 almost gets contact as well. Lots of drivers going lots of different directions. This might not end well. 51 pit stops coming down. Dalton England's got 9 of the pit stops.
51 in the 803 coming down pit road for fuel only, last pit of the evening. That is the 51 and 803 for fuel only for the last stop of the night.
And real quick, during that call when we threw to Dalton just a minute ago, Plash led a lap. That is a huge extra bonus point, which is going to result in Hogue having to pass one more truck. Then Ian Plash needs to hold off.
Exactly. That's an extra buffer truck, if you will, in between them that Ian Plash can have. I think he saw an opportunity, took full advantage of it. No more pit, more pit stops towards the tail of the field. Couple of drivers peeling off, including Brandon Otto and company. Looks like Dalton, the next couple of takers are on pit road.
Fuel only for most of the drivers. We've seen one driver take 4 tires. That's Julian Madore. One driver with 4 tires. The rest have took fuel only.
3 wide now around your leaders. The 22 of Ian Plash. He's going to go way high, letting around the 23 and the 43 machines. Those are the 23 of Brandon Hoff, the 43 of Stephen O'Rourke. Wes Hogue still in no man's land, currently running 15th. Through over 2/3 of the way he's done. Guys, he's got to start thinking about when and how he wants to make his move.
I think he should have made it now. And leader pits.
Austin Atkinson brings the entire group, and this is a dangerous time. Everybody on pit road, whoa, hello. almost, actually Justin Bolton about got the nose taken off of his truck by the 48 of Ryan Hunty, and here they come, Evan, pit stops wholesale style.
They're leading him down the pit lane, 4 wide. Austin Atkinson in front of that melee as he comes down into his stall, and this is where we could see a lot of shuffling at the back of the pack. And up here at the front now as this big group of cars is down to 66 of Atkinson, who led them down, is done. He's got his fuel. He's going to be the first machine to exit the pit lane. 17 is going to follow him down.
The 22 of Ian Plash almost got tangled into somebody coming into the pit lane. Almost going to get wrecked, but he makes it out of the pit safely, going to come out in the 8th position. Wes Hogue is coming down pit lane. That's Wes Hogue in the 38 coming down pit lane for fuel only with the 39 car. No speeding penalty for the 38 as of now. Entry is good for the 38, was good for the 22. Can the 38 get out of the pits with no entry or exit speeding penalty? The 38 is overshot the stall. That's going to hurt him. The 38 gas only, but going to hurt him a lot. The 39's already out. The 38 comes out. No speeding penalty for the 38.
Guys, that is going to hurt him big time. Wes Hogue overshoots his stall, gets a little excited out there, and now he is paying the price for that one. Green flag pit stop's done. All of your leaders in and out. And now, guys, here's where you have to make the tough decisions.
Yeah, and it appears as if the 39 of Odo kind of backed up and helped out Hogue there. He could have left him hung out to dry, but he realized 2 is faster than 1 at these super speedways and backed up to make sure that he could draft with them. That looks like they'll be okay, but definitely some lost time on pit road there for one of the title contenders. And real quick, during that cycle, Hogue tried to lead a lap, couldn't quite get it. He is still going to need to pass one more truck than Plash needs to hold off.
Yeah, he tried valiantly, but the fuel mileage wasn't there. Now, here's the good news. If you're Wes Hogue, despite all of that, look behind you. There's Ian Plash in your rear view mirror, right where you want him to be. The only problem is there's not a lot of real estate around you that's filled with race trucks. There's a bunch of them in front of you, and here goes Plash to the outside. And now, as the 82 machine dives underneath Joe Branch, this could be some momentous occasion for the championship as more trucks getting up to speed after pit stops. Another dangerous situation, Joe, with the speed differential between trucks. That can also be an issue as other trucks get back up to speed and blend back in on the back straightaway.
Right now, as it stands, no, it's going to be a 1-point advantage to the 38 machine of Wes Hogue, but that's all subject to change as you see the 22-82 on the outside of them pushing. And now it sounds like we might have some trouble on the track. Nope, we're going to continue green flag racing. Everybody scattered throughout this field, and still anybody's race to be had, guys.
If the race ended right there, Wes Hogue would be your Vidane Season 6 champion by 1 point.
One single solitary point, but that's why the race ends on lap number 69 and they race all the way through. Now, something we might want to keep note here. Ian Plash is, well, the guy that pushed him to the lead was the 82 of Joe Branch, and now they'll perform the swap in turn number 3, but Branch and Plash very familiar with each other, and it looks like this group trying to get in line to maybe run down that lead pack as Dylan Gooden and Jack Breaker still technically leading this race, but they are expected to come to pit road, Joe. The battle for the lead is O'Rourke and Luvender up at the front of this group, but we're watching that battle for the championship as it continues to swap hands, to change possession as Hogue and Plash all perform the swap with their various drafting partners. All kinds of insanity happening back in what ultimately will be at the tail end of the top 10.
Leaders coming down pit road. Dalton, what are you seeing?
Dylan Gooden and Jack Brooker stayed out to lead a lap to jump up a little in the standings. Nothing big for it, but they're going to try to get the win tonight. They had a 39-second lead. Both drivers, no speeding penalty, gas only, and they are off of pit road.
Trouble!
75.
We've got trouble in the lead pack. A lap car has caused an issue. Bryce Sinisak came, I think he was the one that was involved on the outside wall, but a slower car, actually Sinisak is the one that ran into the slower car, just ahead of the leaders, got crossed up, and somehow, I'm not sure exactly how, but I think all of the leaders got through scot-free. all the championship contenders got through scot-free and narrowly avoided disaster, but that has completely put this race on its head, Joe, and now we have gone from a long strategic battle to a quick shootout.
You look at that, and it looked as if Eckert just flat out came up, no awareness to the lead pack. I gotta call a spade a spade. That was not a smart move by the 10 truck of Eckert.
The 09 of Bryce Senesac, the 10 machine of John Eckert, both getting involved out there. Evan Pasoko, you saw exactly what happened. What did you see from your perspective?
And that's pretty much the consensus down here on pit lane, is that the 10 machine just not entirely paying attention to what went down there. And as you can imagine, those guys that ended up getting caught up in all of that, obviously not happy over the radio, and now the crew chiefs have to look forward and think that this is going to change the entire outcome of this race. So now they got to calm down their drivers, settle them down here for these next restarts. But definitely the consensus, especially from the pit crew and the crew chief of the 09 machine of Senesac, is that the 10 machine was just out of line at that point.
This is going to change everything. Strategy, everything you had in mind, those green flag pit stops. Guys, it's all out the window now.
Yeah, you're looking at about 15, 14 laps to go. Right now, we're going to have about 10 laps, maybe 11, if we get the green flag on time, to decide the championship. And Hogue and Plash are running right next to one another on the racetrack. They are technically tied right now. Ian has it by 1, my bad. I was just told by my producer, Ian has it by 1.
Now, something else we're going to have to look at here, guys. Remember at the beginning of the race, we had the caution flag and the odd start-finish line placement here at Talladega. Dylan Gooden and Jack Bruiker came off pit road just as the caution was coming out. So they were the leader at the moment of caution, but the entire field had already blown by them. So the pace car has picked up the third-place truck of Stephen O'Rourke. The leaders, Gooden and Bruiker, are at the back of the field, Joe, but they are pretty much an entire lap ahead of the field. I'm not sure if those two drivers are aware of that, but it certainly appears that they are, for all intents and purposes, on a lap by themselves until the wave around takes effect.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be such a big deal. I think all these guys took fuel to the end, so I think these guys are going to be able to make it to the end.
There's a little bit of a debate now going on about Dylan Gooden and Jack Bruiker. And Tony, you mentioned it a moment ago. Talladega is known for having that funky start-finish line that comes up right there. You just saw the replay a moment ago where they were able to beat the pace car out of pit road, and they're able to retain the lead, sort of. And now the officials have to figure out what exactly went wrong and where exactly they need to be.
Yeah, I think they need to be, quite frankly, behind the pace car. They are the leaders. There's no reason for the pace car to pick up third place. And I think it's just one of those deals of the way it all fell. It was kind of a weird deal. It's kind of hard to really explain, but Bruiker and Gooden appear to be possibly either slowing down or simply when we get the one-to-go signal, the entire field will get waved around the pace car, so the leaders there are the immediate trucks behind the pace car. If you're Dylan Gooden and Jack Bruiker, this is the best-case scenario for you, Dave, because you pitted from the lead expecting to go a lap, not a lap down, but to lose all your track position, and now you're going to come down pit road, as you already have, and come back out with the lead. There's no better situation for these two.
Yeah, they got a really lucky break. The 75 and the 69. Gooden and Bruiker have definitely lucked out here, but the whole field is, I believe, going to get waved around. Let's throw it to Evan, who has an update on that.
And that's right, we've been talking with the crew chief of the 75, Gooden, and they've been communicating with Race Control, and Race Control describing this incident as exactly what we saw at the beginning of this race, the fact that these drivers just being scored that distance down, and it comes down to the fact, and I know that we threw it down the pit road with Dalton, that 75-69 did not pit when pretty much everybody else did, so they had about a 30-second lead or so. They came down the pit lane by themselves, and because of where the caution flew immediately afterwards, they lucked out, and that's where they are right now. But word from race control is that we're going to do exactly what we did at the beginning of the race, is wave everybody around if the sim does not do so automatically, to get everybody back up behind Gooden and Brooker. So 75-69 will remain the lead cars, but race control again still trying to figure out a way to get everybody else on that lead lap. Erase that 2-minute deficit and make sure it's going to be fair here in this shootout to the finish.
And that inevitably is going to extend this yellow flag. So we were looking at going with about 10 to go, plus or minus. If they extend this yellow flag at least one lap, we could only be having 8 to go before we're back to green flag racing.
Yeah, and what better way to decide a championship than a 10-lap dash for cash, or in this case, dash for belt and race car ride.
I think this is really the worst case scenario, though, guys, for Ian Plash and Wes Hogue, because we've all seen these races. We've all seen the Talladega shootouts. We've all seen the Daytona dashes, whatever you'd like to call them, whatever pet name you have for these. Things get crazy, things get unpredictable, and things, quite frankly, get out of control. And unless you are in control of that, in other words, the leader or way behind the chaos, there's no telling what's going to happen to you and your race truck. So if you're Wes Hogue and Ian Plash, I think the heart rate is elevated just a little bit and the blood pressure has increased somewhat, because there is no promise as far as what's going to happen to you before this race is over with.
We're going to take it down right now to Dalton England and Evan Pasoko, and I'm going to ask each of them to take the position of one of the two drivers. These guys have been running up and down pit road all night, figuring things out. And let's go ahead and start with Evan Pasoko. Evan, you're Wes Hogue in the 38 machine. You're currently sitting 13th. What's your strategy? What do you need to do to make sure you win this championship?
I think there's going to be no question that this is not going to go green to the end. You got to look at the factors. Final race of the season, final race with Vidane. These guys are going to be going for it. That 38 just needs to make sure that thing crosses the line. I'm thinking that if you're in the 13 or at 38, sitting in 13th place, Wes Hogue, Ian Plash is going to be starting next to you on this restart. It's going to come up here once everybody gets sorted out. You have to stay on that inside lane. You go up top, and it's very, very hard to avoid an incident. And again, I do think, and I think there's no question that there is going to be an incident, the way this is going to go down and the way this shootout style finish is starting to shape out. So if you're the 30 at Wes Hogue, hold that sucker on the bottom lane, keep that pedal planted, and see what you can do. But you got to keep tabs on the 22 machine of Ian Plash as well, maybe a little bit of defensive driving.
Dalton England, you're driving the 22 machine of Ian Plash, currently sitting 14th. What you have at least 1 point on Wes Hogue. What do you do?
Yeah, as you said, Joe, 1 point. If I'm Ian Plash, I led that one lap, and now I know I'm right next to Wes. I need to go on the start, get away from Wes, and just finish 2 spots in front of him to secure the championship when that checkered flag falls.
1 single point, guys. Right now, your championship decided by 1 single point. Very, very entertaining way to bring this down.
It really is, Joe. Very entertaining to see how this is going to work, because now we have a little bit of a buffer. It was whoever beats the other wins the championship. Now, Ian Plash has got just that little bit of buffer he might be able to play with. But before you know it, he might need to try to make this race happen.
Yeah, and a lot of the, Ian and Wes must be thinking, if only I passed that guy back in week 3. If only I passed that guy back in week 6. They got to be thinking if they were able to make that pass at that time, that they would be all right, and that they might be higher up in points. But again, that's why every lap matters here in the Vidane Super Speedway Series.
So they can get everybody lined up exactly where they need to be. And it looks like they're gonna try something here to put everybody back on the lead lap and put everybody back exactly where they need to be. And guys, this can only extend the yellow flag even further. If you're your 2 leaders, this is not what you want to see, because it will ultimately affect your race.
And it's taking the driving out of the driver's hands. It's taking this championship fight out of the driver's hands. If I'm a driver in a title fight, I want to decide this on the racetrack at full speed. I don't want to decide it on caution laps.
Well, and I think what the two leaders finally have figured out, and I don't know if this is an issue on their part of not paying attention to the directions they were given from race control within the sim or the physical race control people here at Vidane, but they have now come to a stop outside turn 2. Jack Brooker and Dylan Gooden waiting on the field to catch back up to them, because I think, Joe, that those two drivers should have been behind the pace car the entire time, but instead they rocketed ahead thinking, you know, they were at the tail of the field or whatever, and passed the pace car, drove back around, and now they're having to get themselves back in place where they're supposed to be immediately behind the pace car.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It appeared as if when the drivers were reporting that they were not given the wave around, that generally seems to be somebody jetted in front of the pace car, and that's what will do it every time.
So the pace car lights should go out this time by. You see them go out right there, but if it's impossible, it's going to extend it one more time just in case, which is something these guys do not want to see. Remember, there is no overdrive finish in the NASCAR, the iRacing sim. There is no green and white checkered finish. If this race if we're end up with the yellow flag within about 4 to go, race is over. Race is over, and whoever's in front, wherever the field is locked at, that's how this race will end. Right now, we are looking at a 10-lap shootout here at Talladega, but nonetheless, it's going to be a very scary 10 laps. Yellow flag comes out early, we're going to have another restart. If it doesn't, this race could be over.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if this one will be decided under caution or not. That would be a shame if that were the case, but leaders are now finally in the right spot. Looks as if we're going to go green this time.
So it's going to be a 10-lap shootout, guys, which means we do have time for one quick screw-up on the part of some driver in this field, but we saw it happen to that guy at the start of the show. I don't know, Joe, if I want to be that guy again here, because we all know what that means. It means you could make that decision. You could make that mistake that ultimately affects the outcome of the race and, more importantly tonight, the championship.
So right now, we're going to go ahead and go on board for this restart. On one side of your screen, you're going to ride along on the 38 Mellow Yellow Chevrolet of Wes Hogue. On the other side, you're going to run away with that 22 machine of Ian Plash, an unsponsored 22 machine this week. They are going to restart side by side, and you're going to watch the restart live from their dashboards as we get ready to go back. Green flag racing pace car out of the way. 10 laps remaining when we cross the start-finish line, and we are getting ready to have a big finish. This thing could end the race. Green flag flies. Let's crank it up as we run side by side with these two drivers.
And that's what it looks like when you're in the fight for a championship. Hogue and Plash now both pinned to the outside lane, where very few have feared to tread so far tonight. Hogue in front of the group, Plash the third truck in line, and Hogue is starting to get a little bit of antsy. He's starting to dance. He needs some sort of partner because he is not tangoed all night long, and suddenly two left feet are starting to show for Wes Hogue, but he doesn't care. He's not going to be a wallflower. He can't afford to be a wallflower tonight. He has got to get on the floor, and now is the time, Dave.
Yeah, he's got to go on the floor, walk the dinosaur, as now Plash tries to get around the 39 and the 38, but the 39 has held up this 22 in this top lane. He's got Corey Stevens in the 803 and Tim Silliman behind him, but all this is doing is building more cushion for Hogue.
Flash drops to the bottom of the racetrack, and that might be
38 machine now on the high side. 22 goes down low. It's going to be side by once again, and that is going to affect the points as they continue to run. The 38 machine walking like an Egyptian on the dance floor, and it's going to be Wes Hogue still at least 2 truck lengths ahead of the 22 of Ian Flash. Now the 38 starting to show some muscle out there. This is the truck that was fastest in practice, and now you're starting to see why.
But Joe, he's by himself. He's only got one other person to help him. Flash made that move a lap ago to the bottom, and that might be the move of benefit right now because he has pulled up almost even with Hogue. That lower lane has got the momentum, and it certainly has more trucks pushing towards that momentum and that ultimate goal. Flash now side by side with Hogue, and a couple of tandems trying to settle his championship as both of them close in on the lead group, which is slowly starting to grow and crossing start-finish.
Rance Brown is now Ian Flash's best friend here in this final, as now the 30 and the 39 forced to switch.
38-39 forced to switch. 22-21 about to do the same thing. Advantage Flash, and Flash takes it away. In fact, he's going to dump his tandem partner. He's going to dump the 21 of Rance Brown. That is not going to look good on him, but it doesn't matter because he's got a tandem behind him that is willing to start digging around him. The 22 now all trying to get back on the bumper of the 83 machine. The 22, check that. He's going to go anywhere. The wind blows and almost gets himself in trouble.
Yowzers! Hello, Ian Flash. Starting to get a little bit dicey, and I don't know why, Joe. Well, I do, because Wes Hogue is right there, and here comes Flash. Pushing for all it's worth, sticking his nose in the middle now. He'll make it 3 wide. What a risky move by Ian Flash, and Hogue right behind him now. He'll dart to the bottom. Hogue side by side with Flash for the championship.
Hogue now dumps his partner for the moment, but he falls right back in line. Odo right behind Hogue there, but Hogue's connection issues seem to be flaring up again.
Evan on the pit box of the 38 machine. Wes Hogue, what are you hearing from the crew chief?
38 machine, he needs to get going, and he's on that inside lane. You can see the 22 of Flash above him, and the crew chief is just telling him push, try to work through this. He's pulling up behind him now as we watch him now come through the trial in front of us here on the pit lane. Message from the crew chief is just get around him.
And he continues to get around him, but now he's starting to get in traffic jam. The roadblock starting to form. 4 to go. 38 made it going high. Almost gets to the 21 machine. 38 now cuts down low. He's doing everything he can, but will it be enough to get around the 22?
22 held up behind Riley Roush there as he's trying to hang on, but now Hogue needs desperately to get by the 22 of Flash if he wants any chance of this championship.
He's pushing, he's darting, he's jockeying, he's doing whatever he possibly can to find a way around Ian Flash. Flash nearly got door slammed into the outside wall a half a lap ago. He almost made a couple of false moves himself. Wes Hogue could have been taken up in the aftermath. Maybe he'd have gotten away scot-free. But there's no time left to speculate. You've got to go. You've got to do what's necessary. 3 circuits remain in this one. Only 3 to go. Or check that, 4 to go. 65 laps in the books. Only 4 trips left around Talladega, and they could be the 4 most important of the season, Joe.
It could be the 4 most important of the season as the 67 machine gets way high, gets into the wall. Now the 38 and 22, big gap between them. Dalton England on the pit box of the 22 of Ian Flash. What's the crew chief telling them, Dalton?
The crew chief is telling Ian, calm down. You have had it all the way. You got the lead. Coming to 3 to go this time by. Keep calm, stay in front of Wes, and we have the championship.
Very important pass just a minute ago. You just saw it there. Wes Hogue or Ian Flash just got by Riley Roush. That is a nice buffer, a little insurance for him at the moment.
Wes Hogue had a run. No, briefly, Hogue is in it. Hogue gets taken out of an accident. Turn number 1. The chaos is happening behind him, and that's going to bring out the yellow flag, sealing the fate of Wes Hogue as his championship has gone up in smoke in turn number 1, Joe.
What an incredible finish. I could have never predicted that. Wes Hogue trying to get back in front of Ian Flash, takes himself out, made the big move, rolled the dice and rolled snake eyes. That will be the night. That will be the championship. And guys, the hardest part is that move is going to define Wes Hoag's chances at being champion.
Well, Joe, it really is, because that is the move that you had to make if you're Wes Hoag. You had to run through the trio, but you had to run to turn number 1, and quite frankly, you're not going to back off when Riley Roush cuts across your nose. You're going to hope he slides along your bumper, or that he maybe moves up out of the way. You don't expect to get stuck with him and have those bumper covers grab each other and take you along with him. But if you're Wes Hoag, you were behind the guy you had to beat. You were running out of time and running out of real estate. You really didn't have any other choice, but guess what? If you'd put yourself in a better position earlier, you wouldn't have had to make that move. And I know Wes Hoag has got to be second-guessing himself already for this entire race, Dave.
Tony, I totally agree. Wesley tried his best. He had to make a desperation move. He thought he had thought he was clear with the 86 of Roush. Wasn't quite. And that, right there, will decide your championship.
One more parade lap left to go. Laura, let's take another look at that. Evan, walk us through what exactly happened, how that exactly came together. Walk us through that incident. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, well, we were up here on the pit box of Hogan. The crew chief was yelling to the spotter, go and try to get some radio contact with those guys around West, because they didn't know what was going on with that 85 machine in front of him, or rather 86, and they were trying to get radio communication with Riley Roush to try to figure something out. And again, just exactly what you guys said, and that was that Wes Hoag coming over the radio and said, I had to go for it, guys, and that's what happened. He ended up getting taken out and taking partial blame and responsibility for that, but at the end of the day, and I heard you guys talking about that, if he wasn't in that position, he would have had to make a move like that, and Wes Hoag over the radio talking to his crew, just letting him know that if he wanted a shot at the championship, that was the move that he was going to have to make, and it didn't work out.
Dalton England, you were sitting right there when all of that happened. What happened at the pit box of the 22 when that yellow flag came out?
Well, the 22, like Ian's crew chief said, stay in front of Wes and you are good. As Ian was in front of Wes, 2 spots in front of Wes going into turn number 1 with 2 to go, and that would end the race right there when Wes would get into the back of the bumper of the 86, and Ian knew right there as soon as he seen smoke, Wes was involved, and he would be the Vidane Season 6 champion.
So there it is. That is officially all she wrote. They will cross the line one more time as they come through turns 3 and 4. Guys, you could not write a better finish to this race. Dylan Gooden will come home with the win, but more importantly, Ian Crash Plash will walk away from position number 10 with the Vidane Championship Racing belt.
He will, Joe, and it's a great night for Ian Plash, a great night for Dylan Gooden, and this is probably Dylan Gooden's worst race he could ever win, because we haven't talked about him at all, Joe, but give him props. He stayed in front of the field. He was able to hold that spot, and what really was a truck that wasn't out front all night, by virtue of a little bit of luck and a lot of pit strategy, he ends up in front, holds that spot, and in just sheer moments, he's going to cross the stripe to end up the winner.
Yeah, here he comes to make it official, and again, yeah, it's always bittersweet to be the winner of the final race of the season. Seems like you never get talked about, especially when a points battle happens. But good win for Dylan Gooden, as he will take the win. Logan Campbell second, Austin Atkinson third.
Whoa! Wes Hoag and Riley Roush having some post-race fisticuffs, guys. Hoag just turned left all over the 86, hunted him down, and just cranked left onto Riley Roush. Oh, Wes Hoag is not happy with Riley Roush right now.
Yeah, that just happened. That just happened. You're watching the replay again right now. The 38 out of nowhere just drills the 65 machine. I'm sorry, 86 of Riley Roush spins out in front of him. What just happened there?
I think Wes Hoag is trying to vent his frustrations. And while I may not agree with that, Wes, you were the guy that stuck your nose in there. I mean, yeah, Riley might have come down, but Wes, you've got a brake pedal, my friend. You could have laid on it and let him come down. So don't go blaming Riley, because you have a wheel and a set of pedals you control as well.
Pit road getting a lot busier after the result. I think we had two crews go at it. Dalton, what'd you see down on pit road?
All I seen is the 38 just go up through the field, darted in front of the 23, came right down in front of him, and would clip the 86 of Riley Roush. Riley Roush would keep the car going and would end in one piece tonight, pulling it into the pits. But as you guys said, Wes is very, very mad after that incident, going into turn number 1 with 2 to go.
2 drivers taking donuts, celebrating the big win, but only one sits at victory at the start-finish line, burning him out. Ian Crash Flash driving the number 22 Chevrolet Silverado, your champion in Vidane Super Speedway Series number 6. When we return in the post-race show, we will talk to your top 3 finishers. We will talk to your champion, Ian Crash Flash. We will talk to your runner-up and recap what will go down as a legendary race to finish the Vidane Racing Series. Dylan Gooden, your winner. Ian Crash Flash, your champion. We will talk to everybody when we return. The post-race show is next, live on LSRTV.
CTWE wrestler The Mac.
And I'm Showtime Stevie Stamos.
Have you ever dreamed of owning your own race car and taking it out for a test drive? Well, thanks to our friends at Rent a Race Car, you can!
Visit www.rentaracecarne.com for all the details on how you can take one of these babies out to Stafford Motor Speedway. We'll see you at the races.
Touchdown!
Welcome back to one of the most exciting finishes you will ever see. I'm David Amboys, and welcome back to our LSRTV post-race show for tonight's Rent a Race Car 173. One heck of a finish, and let's throw it over to Tony Stevens, who's down in victory lane with our winner tonight, the number 75 of Dylan Gooden.
Thanks, Dave. With Dylan Gooden, and Dylan, first off, where in the world did you come from? We didn't talk about you really all night long, except for, hey, here's a guy who got lucky, got the lead on this pit cycle and a lucky yellow flag, but it was no fluke. You were able to stay at the front of the field and race your way to a win tonight. How in the world did you do it?
Well, at the beginning with all those caution periods, me and my friend Jack Breaker and Brandon Hoff, we all decided, hey, let's pit with 2 to green, and we pitted with 1 to green. So that allowed us to stay out an extra 5 or so laps. And when we went on pit road, we're like, we'll probably be at the back of the pack. And right when we came out of pit road, the caution came out, and we're just like, oh my gosh, we got, 1 and 2.
So after the green came back out, you had 10 laps to try to hold off the field. A little bit easier said than done, especially with a very hungry pack behind you, all snarling to win the race here at Talladega, because we all knew what this race meant, the final race of Vidane. How did you hold them off and make it happen for you?
Well, what I wanted to do was hook up with Jack, who was on the outside lane, and he kind of got a Jeff Gordon restart and fell to the back. So I just, held the bottom and hoped that Stephen O'Rourke could push me or at least keep me in the lead, and we about lost it a couple times, but finally just holding the bottom actually worked, and he gave me the right push at the right time when the caution came out.
Well, Dylan, I know you got some people in the truck that make things happen for it. Looks like, of course, the people from Bicycle Playing Cards, among others, but who else gets to share in this victory with you?
I'd like to thank Davey Scoville, Stephen Moore, David Gregorian, Jack Breaker, Brandon Hoff, Case Brinksman, everyone over at CFI that helped me put this truck together, and it's just been great. I came into this season, the last few races, and was just hoping to get a top 5, and a win feels pretty good.
That's Dylan Gooden, the winner here in the Rent a Race Car event at the Talladega Super Speedway. Next, well, there's another trophy that's got to be presented here this evening, and it's going to none other than the guy whose nickname is Crash, and Joe Cortez is going to crash that party here at Talladega. Joe?
If there's something I do well, it is crash parties, and there is no bigger party down on pit road than that in the pit box of the 22 truck. Ian Crash Blast, your champion in the Vidane Racing Series Season 6. He's got the belt hoisted over his head like The Rock coming out of the truck. Ian, what a ridiculous win. What a crazy race. What a ridiculous win. You earned that one, buddy.
My original draft partner, Devin, got taken out before they even crossed the start-finish line. Working with Joe, he gets taken out. And at that point, I see that Wes has still had his drafting partner in Otto. And I was just latching, trying to find anybody. I got to thank Rowley Roush. He found me at the end, and he kept me in it. That's for damn sure. Oh my God. I'm speechless. I have never been speechless in a damn interview.
Speechless is never an adjective I would have used to describe you, but this has got to be one of those major life-affirming moments right now. You're the champion, dude. This is it.
I have been sim racing for so long. I made many runs at championships, and this is it. This is the first one. And unfortunately, this might be the last one, but oh my God, it was such a fight. I have never been more tense for 69 laps ever in my life. It's just a Super Speedway. I call myself a specialist at this. I come on, run it week in, week out, proving that I'm the best at this, and it all just adds up finally. It was so much work. It was 12 weeks, just hard-fought racing all season long, lots of ups, lots of downs. Just to be standing here, I got the belt, I got the street stock race. It's all achieved. It's here.
How many close calls did you go through tonight? How many close shaves? How many times in your mind did you think this ain't gonna work? Something's gonna break.
There came the point where we were, coming out of turn 4 for that green flag pit stop. I literally coming out of 4, we were already out of the corner, hit my F3, see that I don't have enough fuel to make it to the pit stop, and I said, pit, and me and Joe made it in. That could have been it right there. I don't know how he wound it up. I got to give him props. He did a boss job. I'm amazed at what he did there. Going into that wreck, going into turn 3 as well. EJ O'Rourke, I got to give a big shout out to him. He locked his truck down intentionally just to make sure he would not run me over. Took himself out just to make sure I could stay in it. I cannot thank him enough for that as well. I avoided that wreck coming out of 4. My partner Joe got taken out. There was one point with Laskoski that he almost came off the apron and hit me in the door. This whole race, I feel like Wes last week, this race was working to kill me. And just to say I came out of it 10th place with the championship is just unreal.
Ian, you've got the championship, you've got the belt, and maybe more importantly, you've got the ride. You've got the one race, the one street stock race, thanks to our partners at Rent a Race Car Northeast. After everything you've been through this season, how much has that prepared you for the real thing coming up this summer?
Well, I got a lot of work to do. I got to find a way to sit down and figure out just how the hell to make this happen with working a real race car. Done a lot of karting events. I've done some fast cars on the street before, but to be in an actual race, never done it once. So looking forward to that for sure. It's also been a lifelong dream of mine to sit here and actually race a real race car, and God, it's gonna happen. That's so unreal.
Ian, I know there's a lot of people you want to thank. There's a lot of people that you want to give your thoughts to. Take it away.
right. Well, I had a little speech I was preparing, but I'm not even gonna bother because you know, I wouldn't be able to even read right now. I need to, before I get to anybody else, Wesley Hogue. He was my partner the whole entire season long. He has been a great friend of mine. You know, he's been there for me. I've been there for him. It's been an absolute honor to go for this fight, you know, against one of my best friends. It was difficult because it's always hard to compromise a friend and put him in a position where you'd have to do something to get around him. But it's just one of those things, man. It's if I'm gonna do it any other way, you know, this would be the way. Just to have a half a season battle with the person that was just, you know, just there all season long and giving it to me, fighting back as well, man. It was a blast. Wes, I'm sorry for the outcome. I hated to see that happen to you, but man, it was a fun fight. Thank you so much for the season. Paul Strickland Jr., Garland Meadows, Chris Sweat, just everyone who has been here making the season possible. Our 6th season at Vidane, it's over. It's done. We've completed it. Ambitious project in our head. You know, we want all 12 of the races broadcasted. We have the biggest prize in sim racing right now. And it's all happened. Just everyone here that had their hand in it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to go down the list of sponsors. I'm going to miss some. Rent a RaceCar, Ken's Card, Pro M Belts for the belt. I think I said Rent a RaceCar. Oh no, I'm choked up right now. Sorry. Chris Flash Incorporated for helping me out as always through the whole race. I got to thank Mr. OHD Productions, Digital Learning Tree, freaking hell, ChicagoF1.net. There are just so many people that made the season possible, and without each and every one of you guys' help, I cannot have done this. You know, this whole entire thing would have been pointless, and it would have went down in a blaze of glory. But we all out strong. We did our best, and lo and behold, here we are. So, just yeah, everybody here, all the competitors, everyone here at WRN, LSRTV, CFI. I mean, you guys are the bomb. You brought it to us all season long, and you get to see that one hell of a fight between Wes and myself, and everyone else here was in the season making it happen. So, we did it. 2014 champion, baby.
Ian Crash Plash, 12 races in this season, countless numbers of close calls, 2 wins, make that 2 wins on the season, 8 top 5s, 8 top 10s, all with the intention of being your champion. Ian, congratulations. Let the celebration begin.
Thanks, buddy.
That is your champion, Ian Crash Flash. Let's go ahead and go to Evan Pasoko, who's called up with our 2nd place finisher tonight in the Rent a Race Car 183. That's Logan Clampett, driver of the number 44 truck.
And that's right, we're down here on the pit lane with the driver of the 44 machine, Logan Clampett. And Logan, before we get to what went down there, coming out of the checkered flag, obviously this evening, being not only the season finale, but the series finale for Vidane Racing coming in. You've had 1 win this season, did not quite have the luck that you were looking for in the points. What was your summary pretty much entering this evening on your season?
Yeah, you know, I just went for all wins. I didn't really care about points because I missed, I think, like the first 2 races, I think.
Definitely, for sure. And then coming into this evening, 69 laps, knowing the championship battle, knowing that this is going to be the final race, you obviously wanting to go out with a bang. And how is that 44 car running this evening? I know you had a solid qualifying position in the 7th spot and 10th fastest in the practice session. So how was the truck?
Oh, it was really, really good. You know, I'd like to thank Dalton England for it. That's what he poked me for.
And then coming down to that final few laps, and with inside 3 laps to go, you were leading at the start-finish line, but the field came by to take lap number 67, and caution flag is going to fly to turn 2, where the car right up in front of you, the 75 machine of good, and had you by about a nose in that corner. And when that yellow flag flew, what went through your mind?
Oh, you know, if it would have came out in, like, you know, entering turn 3, I probably would have possible chance.
And obviously unable to get that battle and unable to put up a fight for that win because the race ending under the yellow flag. But we saw very intense racing and on the broadcast. We were taking a look back at our championship battle going on around the 10th spot in those closing laps. What was the racing like up front coming to that checkers?
No, it was really crazy. You know, me and Connor, we were trying to keep it up there until Austin, you know, made it 3 wide. And you know, I told Connor, sorry, last Vidane race, I'm not going to go up there.
And for sure, and going out with a second place finish, it's solid. I'm sure it's not what you were looking for, being so close to taking home that W, but finishing up at the front of the field and putting on a show. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that make it work for the 44 truck to get it to the track week in and week out. Sponsors, shout outs, whoever you want to thank, the mic's all yours.
You know, I want to thank, you know, Sim Racing Authority, and, of course, you know, you guys, Racer Boost, and that's about it.
Definitely 10-4, man. Well, congratulations on a solid top 2 finish. Looked like you were having some fun up there in the 44, and again, congrats and good luck in your future endeavors here on the iRacing service.
Yep. Thank you.
That's going to do it down here on the pit lane with Logan Clampett and the 44 machine going to come home second. Dalton?
Yes, I'm down here with Steven O'Rourke. Steven, you ran up front all night. Who were you working with the whole night that made it happen for you?
Well, there wasn't really one person. There was multiple. Riley, he helped me for a good part of it. Steve was there behind me. There was a few times I got shuffled out of line. I went to the back. It was really just whoever I could find at the time.
What kept you up front? Was it your partner, or was your mindset just to come out here and start in the front and stay up front and try to win the race tonight?
My mindset was just to try and lead the most laps and try and win it if possible. I started about middle. I worked my way up there. There was a few times where I got shuffled out, but somehow I just ended back up there, and with the crazy yellow flags and stuff, I was up there. I had a chance for it, but came home third, so not bad. It's my first top 5. Most of these I get wrecked, so I'll take it.
So who makes it happen for you each and every week here in Vidane Racing?
Well, first off, I'd like to throw a shout out and thanks to EJ. He's the best brother I could ever wish I had. Thank Ian and everybody who runs this league. It's been fun for the I think I ran 6 or 7 races this season. Most of them I just ran for fun. I didn't even really try to go out and dominate it. There was a few times where I was up front and had a chance and something always happened. Everybody, all the admins and everything, I'll thank them. They do a wonderful job over here. And overall, it's been a really fun series.
That is your 5th place finisher tonight, Steven O'Rourke. And now I'm going to send it back up to the booth, David Danboys.
Yeah, and we tried to get a word with Wesley Hogue. His PR guys have coordinated and quarantined him in his hauler for the time being. We are not able to get a hold of him at the moment. So we'll move on. Tony Stevens has caught up with Riley Roush, number 86.
I certainly have, Dave, and normally, Riley, we wouldn't be talking to you in this situation. Didn't have a stellar run, didn't have a horrible run, just a run. However, we all kind of know what happened in turn 1. Wes didn't want to talk to us, but from your vantage point behind your steering wheel, what happened?
Yeah, I was just trying to stay behind Ian and try and help him win this championship, and I don't know. We were moving down to the bottom, and Wes got into the back of me a little bit, and then I kind of got up a little bit, and then he kept hitting me in my left rear, and it sent me around. I don't want to blame anybody for anything, but I don't feel like I was to blame. I just think it was a racing incident. It really sucks that Wes was involved in that. I wanted that to be a clean battle to the finish there, but I felt like I couldn't have done anything different. He just kept hitting me in the left rear, and I was just trying to keep off of him, but just sent us both around. I'm sorry to him if he's listening to this, but I don't know. It's a racing incident, I guess.
Everybody's going to ask, obviously, if you felt he was under you. Is there anything you could have done just to give him the lane, or would that have crashed both of you as well?
I don't really know. I thought I had enough time to get in front of him, and I still believe I was in front of him. I just think, I don't know. He got under me after I had already came down, so I really don't know. I don't think I could have done anything differently.
What happened after the checker flag? Did you two exchange words or any sort of gestures between windshields? We didn't really expect it. I'm sure you weren't expecting what happened at the checker flag either.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand how he'd be frustrated with that finish. I mean, he was that close to winning a championship and everything, but I mean, we didn't say anything to each other after the race. I just was coming to the end, and he had gotten alongside me about a half lap before that. He didn't touch me or anything, but coming to that checkered, he just started slamming me down to the inside wall. So I understand how he could be frustrated, but it's racing.
Well, Riley, sorry you had to be involved in the championship outcome the way that happened, but nonetheless, we're glad you at least were able to salvage something of a finish on the night.
Yep, I'm happy I could help Ian keep his car up there and help him get this championship. Just wish I could have done it a different way.
Well, that's Riley Roush, the other half of that major incident coming towards the checker flag that ultimately decided the championship here tonight. Joe, back to you, and we'll see if we can, well, I doubt we'll track down Wes Hogue, but maybe we'll see what he throws at something or someone and catch it on tape.
Hey, stranger things have been caught on tape in season finales, as we all know. Tonight's live coverage of the Red RaceCar 183 for the Vidane Racing Series, brought to you by Vidane Racing Series, now finishing season number 7. Find out more about them at vidane.net. Donzo Improvement, based in Coventry, Connecticut, proud supporter of Connecticut racer Kelsey Rattino. Check them out at donsidingandwindows.com. Run a RaceCar Northeast, running dare stocks at Stafford Motor Speedway every Friday night. It's not a ride along, it's a race. Check them out at rentaracecarnortheast.com. And this newsflash just being handed to me, the top 10 in points. Everybody who finished top 10 in points here at the Vidane Racing Series, they will get $100 off. They rent a RaceCar Northeast on behalf of as a thank you from our friends at Rent a RaceCar Northeast. Chad renting them out every Friday night at Stafford Motor Speedway. Check them out at rentaracecarne.com. Kids Cards, sports cards, collectibles, baseball, football, NASCAR, pro wrestling, and more. Check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/Kids Cards. Pro-Am Belts, designers and creators of Ian Blash's 2013 Vidane Racing Championship belt. Check them out online at proambelts.com. Xlander Designs, providing many of the paint schemes you see out here on track at Vidane. Check them out online at xlander.com and tradingpaints.com, the official paint scheme trading site of the iRacing Sim. Download the latest update and find out more about their pro subscription at tradingpaints.com. Guys, 69 laps in the books, 183 miles, all for the end of an era here with Vidane Racing. Let's take it around the horn one last time for your final thoughts. I'm going to start with you, Tony. We saw an incredible race. We saw an incredible finish. You can't ask for anything more than what we saw here at Talladega Superspeedway to end an era.
Yeah, Joe, the racing was incredible, and really the championship in and of itself was pretty incredible as well. To come down to literally a bonus point possibly, or as it did, one or two spots on the racetrack. And unfortunately, it came down to an accident in turn number 1. But to have two drivers that close for a championship to where they feel they are forced to make those kind of moves, that's what it's all about. And of course, the racing, as we said, for the lead and everywhere else throughout the field, just as spectacular. That, I think, is the legacy of Vidane. It's great racing. Heated tempers, because we all know how emotional this can get. However, it's part of what makes this sport we call sim racing so great. Wes will get over it. He'll get back on the racetrack, and he'll go try to win another championship. And Ian, as we heard from him, he's going to cherish this championship. But I think, again, that is the legacy of Vidane. Tight racing, big tempers, high emotions, but in the end, one really great group of race car drivers putting on a heck of a show.
All right. Well, first off, I want to say congratulations to Ian Flash, a well-deserved championship. Really hard battle there. It's a shame what occurred there at the end. There will be two differing opinions on what occurred there at the end of that event. But ultimately, at the end of the day, unfortunately, Mr. Hogue is going to have to think, what if? What if I would have passed somebody earlier? We talked about it earlier in the race, and ultimately it came down to the final few laps. It's a shame that it ended in an incident, but he'll get back on his horse. They call him Rowdy for a reason, because he's going to go out there and go all out. He gave it everything he could. Gotta commend him for that. It was very, very entertaining season of Vidane. I want to thank everybody who helped me get into the booth for this final race, and I greatly appreciate it. And I'll throw it over to Evan.
Yeah, thanks guys, and being down here on the pit lane, we got to see a little bit of the behind the scenes and how the crew chiefs and the pit crews were scrambling, trying to figure out their strategy this evening, and I think the race definitely lived up to the hype. I mean, 69 laps coming down for the championship. The leaders tied. We saw pit strategy, we saw big wrecks, we saw close racing, and I think it was a well-rounded race and really does put a good period on this Vidane racing. And this last race showcased what we've seen week in and week out is good, hard, clean racing. Obviously, tempers coming down to it when it's all said and done, but that just shows the passion that these guys have for this, and they just love being out at the racetrack. And even though Vidane is closing its books, I'm sure they're going to move on, and this is not the final time that we're going to see all these guys out on the racetrack for sure, and such a fitting way to close off the season.
It was a great race tonight at the Vidane Racing League. I want to thank everybody here at LSRTV for letting me join in tonight. Sucks to see Wesley Hogue not get the championship and done that way, but Ian Flash, want to congratulate you on the championship, and want to thank, like I said, thank everybody here at LSRTV, everybody at Vidane, and wish to not see Vidane close the doors, but always got something coming up new. Now I'm going to send it back up to Joe.
It is the end of an era, and we were proud and honored to bring it to you here live on LSRTV. That'll do it for our coverage of tonight's racing from Talladega Superspeedway. On behalf of our entire extended team, David Danboys, Tony Stevens joining me in the booth, Evan Pisoko, our roving reporter, Dalton England down on pit lane, and of course Laura Lawson making all the buttons work behind the scenes. On behalf of our entire team, I am Joe Cortez, congratulating Ian Flash one more time on the 2014 Vidane Championship season. We will see you guys next time here on LSR TV. Good night, everybody.
CTWE wrestler The Mac.
And I'm Showtime Stevie Stamos.
Have you ever dreamed of owning your own race car and taking it out for a test drive? Well, thanks to our friends at Rent a Race Car, you can!
Visit www.rentaracecarne.com for all the details on how you can take one of these babies out to Stafford Motor Speedway. We'll see you at the races.
Touchdown!